baby. What's up, folks? The day has arrived. It's finally time. Welcome back to the stream. We have received in its entirety, probably a week before I would have predicted it, Tzeentch's fickle trickery is certainly at work here. Because I said, oh, next week we'll probably get a Codex. No, it was today. I said that yesterday. And Tzeentch said, fuck you, Trevi. It's today now. So, which is good timing, because if we did it next week, I might not have been able to talk about it, because I'll be going to DreamHack. But we got it today, so we get to do a review of the Codex. Now, I have not looked at it very much yet, so this is first time me seeing it. I woke up like 30 minutes ago, basically, out of a drug-induced stupor, trying to get over this fucking cold, dude. But we are good to go now, and I'm excited to dive into this thing. Welcome in, everybody. How's it going? White Rabbit just found the channel. Join the Discord within 5 seconds. Get a live show. Welcome into the community, my guy. I hope you enjoy your time here. Yeah, let's do this freaking thing, dude. I'm psyched. I'm psyched about this Codex. Let's talk about it. I don't have any other more intro stuff to do. I think if we can, we may try to do related data sheets alongside their detachments. Although, to be honest, I don't know entirely what's in here. We should also keep in mind, too, that we do have points for this. So unlike most of the, or at least alleged points for these, the final points for these units. So unlike most of these Codex reviews, we will be able to talk about them with points in mind, which is going to be a big difference to the tenor of our discussion, I believe. Yeah, so let's freaking go, dude. So starting with the Army rule, Cabal of Sorcerers has changed, entire revamp. The psychic phase has been returned to us at long last. We have asked our masters at Games Workshop Game Development, please, sir, give us our psychic phase back. I would like to cast magical spells upon my opponent, and they have deigned it thus. That now, at the start of the shooting phase only, we can attempt to cast rituals. Each unit, model with the ability, which I assume is just going to be our psychers, can attempt to cast one ritual per turn. If the ritual is failed, however, then another model with the ability can attempt the ritual again. So there is no downside to failing. The only downside is that the ritual doesn't manifest. The only exclusion to casting rituals multiple times is that you cannot attempt to manifest a ritual that has already been successfully manifested during that phase. So some of these numbers are very high on the warp charge value. However, that's fine. We can try them a bunch of times. So it's good. You can also buff yourself in order to cast them by channeling the warp. So let's talk about exactly how that works. So we make an old school psychic test, roll 2d6 and add them together. The goal is to get to this number right here. Do I have my illustrator on? I don't. Wonder if I could put it on. One sec. No, I don't have it. That's fine. The goal is to get to this number right here with those combined 2d6ers. If you do that, then the ritual completes. If you roll a particular number, like in this case for Destiny's Ruin, that's the Oath of Moment kind of thing. If you roll a 10 or higher on your combined dice roll, then you get an additional bonus. Pretty neat. If you wish to, when you roll this test, you can channel the warp. That gives you an extra dice, but also improves this failure mode. So this is a little bit different than what we... I believe that is the case. So yeah, I'm actually not 100% sure exactly how this is supposed to work. So the sequence below is roll 2d6 plus a d6. You channel the warp optional. The weird part is that this is in this section. I'm not sure if this is part of channeling the warp. So the part that I'm unclear on is that if you choose not to channel, I'm not sure that this clause applies, but it's confusing. I guess maybe it probably does. I feel like Games Workshop that's how they would want it to be, which I don't love, but I'm not. It could be interpreted that this is a separate section. I have no idea, chat. It's not stated actually one way or another. Yeah, it just says the test sequence. Sequence is roll 2d6, channel the warp, then if doubles or triples are rolled, the model suffers D3 mortal wounds. I think this is connected. This is confusing. I don't. So it seems to me, and maybe somebody, if somebody has spoken concretely otherwise, somebody can tell me. Maybe they have confirmed it somewhere. It seems to me like you can add a third d6 if you want to. So you roll the 2 dice, you see what your result is. Then you add a third d6, but if you roll doubles, you take D3 mortal wounds. I'm not sure. The other option is that you roll 3d6. Regardless, you're going to take D3 mortal wounds, and you could add an additional one if you want to as well. It would be really interesting if the D3 mortal wounds applied only if you channeled, because then if you already have doubles on the dice, it's a really interesting question. Do I eat the mortal wounds in order to attempt to succeed the ritual, or do I not channel in order to not take any damage? But I have no idea. I thought I had this concretely, and then I read it again, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't know how this works. All right, so ultimately, no idea. The community article says it's an optional d6. You roll 3d6 instead. But if you do and roll W, suffer d3, okay. Yeah, so the question is basically like, this is written weirdly because you could go, you read it like 1, 2, 3, 4, or you read it like 1, 2, 3. But I guess you're supposed to do it that second way, which is good. That's a really cool mechanic. I love that. So you can choose to power yourself up. You get to add an extra d6 after you see the results of the first 2 d6, however, with an additional danger, which is cool. So it's a little bit more variant than a lot of the other than the previous versions of the psychic phase. However, you get more control over sort of like how that danger gets applied. You don't have a chance to perils on a 2d6 roll, which makes it pretty sweet. I think that's super duper cool. I'm too jaded, but yeah, I mean, I'm jaded by the fact that Games Workshop loves to just make things random and silly. Like, just take damage all the time on your own guys. Isn't that fun for everyone? Super silly. Quite likely to suffer mortals. Yeah, for sure. But you also like, you know if you get prior knowledge if the first 2 of the 3 dice are already doubles. So you can choose simply not to continue to power up if you're in that spot, if you know for 100% you're going to take mortal wounds, which is really neat. Is GW bringing out the psychic phase? Basically, chats. Basically. Bring back Grey Knight, deny the witch. Yeah, well, deny the witch is now like a 4+ if I don't feel no pain against this stuff, so I don't know. If the model's not destroyed, the combined total of the dice rolled during this test is the psychic test result. If this equals or succeeds the warp charge value of the ritual being attempted, that model manifests the ritual and you resolve its effect. So destruction due to the mortal wounds occurs instantaneously. How you roll more than 1 double on 3 dice? Doubles is just that's just what people say. I don't know. That's just that's what the nomenclature is. There are multiple sets of double or triple numbers, which is why you usually say doubles or triples, right? It's one of the multiple, I guess. So if the D3 mortal wounds would kill you, the effect fizzles. Otherwise, it manifests, assuming you got to the correct warp charge value, and resolve the effects. Here's what you can do. These are all range 24 and require visibility. Doombolt reduces to range 10 if it is targeting a lone operative, kind of like the previous version. But being range 24 to begin with is actually kind of neat. So that's cool. Doombolt is awkwardly only D3 mortal wounds. I don't know, for a 7? Jesus, all right. They're really gun shy after the previous Doombolt effect. I guess you can you get it as a free roll if you have extra casters to do. This is like probably the 3rd thing you do if you're not doing anything, or the 4th thing you do if you're not doing anything else. All right, here we go. Destiny's Ruin. You target an enemy unit on a 5. You get hit rerolls of 1. If you roll a 10 or higher, you reroll hits instead. On a 3d6 roll, that is about a 50-50 chance, a little bit higher. However, you already know what the results of the first 2 dice are, so it's probably going to be a higher chance because you're likely not to empower if it's unlikely you're going to get to the 10+. So that's neat. Temporal Surge gives you a normal move of up to d6 inches. If you roll a 10+, then you normal move up to 6 inches instead, and you cannot declare a charge. Doombolt deals D3 mortal wounds. A little tepid. Doombolt's feeling a little flaccid these days. It's unfortunate. On an 11+, hey!
Blag Zombie donated $5 through Super Chat. Baba.
Thank you, Blag Zombie. I appreciate the Super Chat, buddy. Thank you for the support. Twist of Fate is a 9, which is very difficult. You basically almost have to empower this in order to get it off. It gives you plus one AP against a target unit. And if you roll a 12+, it gives you +2 AP instead. This one being so high is wild. Especially given that like full hit rerolls. It's almost the same as just like basically just Oath of Momenting your target. On its base level. A 12+, once you've already gotten to a 9 and you're at empowering, is probably relatively reasonable. But this one feels like it's going to be under the auspices of someone with a casting bonus, which the rumors have said many characters have. So that might be where it is. AP4 bolters, that's fair. All right. Let's talk about... So I want to talk, before we get into the detachments, I want to talk about the characters, because I think that's going to color a lot of what we do here. What we talk about here is talking about exactly who is going to be casting these spells. So we'll start with Magnus the Red. Another trash Codex, 7 for D3. Yeah, I think the idea is that they're going to pull the damage output away from being like mortal wound based and more towards buffing attacks. Like I said, Doombolt definitely feels like the fourth one that you cast, right? You've gotten all the other ones off and you have casters who you can I can just throw at Doombolt. You can remember that if you fail it, you can just try it again. So you'd be like, I have an Aspiring Sorcerer over here. He'll try it. Oh, I fail. This guy will try it. Oh, I succeed. Take D3. Like, it feels kind of like a free roll that you'll do if you have extra casts in the chamber of guys who are doing stuff. It doesn't feel like something that you're going to be like building your game plan around like you did previously. So Magnus the Red, he's got his Crimson King abilities back. It looks like they have not changed. Time Flux is still around. Impossible Form is still around. He has lost his +1 to hit and wound aura, which is a big, huge, enormous loss. We'll see if we have ways to buff him. That's a big deal. We have access to it otherwise, but it's not affecting him himself. And he's 420 points right now. So that's like a lot. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure here, chat, about this guy. Big benefit is that he can attempt up to 2 rituals per turn instead of 1 and gains +2 to the psychic cast result. So that means that not only is it easier for him to cast rituals, it's also easier for him to get the empowered version of the rituals as well. So that's nice. He kept his terrible treason ability, which is like awful. I wish that was an aura, like when enemies target units within 6 inches or something, they get hazardous. I understand the theme that he's like manipulating the minds of a particular unit, but the ability is really just bad. So I don't know. Yikes. Anyway, he's still shooting 3d3 AP2 3 damage. There was a rumor, I think, that his AP had gone up, but it looks like that's wrong. Tzeentch's Firestorm does ignore cover now, which is nice. Strength 6 AP 1 2 damage. All of those went up in strength. The Gaze of Magnus went up 2 strength. The Firestorm went up 1 strength. Definitely not as good as getting +1 to wound. But it's something. Kind of mid on old Magnus here. Although the 2 rituals and +2 to the result is really good. So he's going to be kind of an army support powerhouse because you can basically like almost guarantee that if you're empowering him, he will get off Twist of Fate, potentially empowered Twist of Fate, and he can get off his rerolls. Yeah, I don't know. Or you can like move up somebody and do rituals with them, and then he can get an empowered Temporal Surge off to like move them out into safety or something. You can embark into transports at the end of Temporal Surge, so like you can do some weird stuff where you disembark, cast spells, re-embark. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. I'm not sure. 420 does seem to feel like a lot for him, though. Definitely, he's not as... He feels like he's still being kind of costed for the current Magnus incarnation, and he's certainly not that guy. Ahriman can attempt Run Ritual, but he gets +1 to cast. He can also join Zangor Enlightened now. Okay. He's move 10. He's infantry mounted. Have we ever seen this keyword before? Infantry mounted? I don't think so. That's bizarre. So he can move through walls because he is infantry. I don't know what the mounted key... I guess it prevents him from getting into transports, probably. I would hazard to guess with that. Well, no, because... Well, maybe the Rhino says it cannot transport mounted models. Let's take a peek at what the transports say. Where'd a Rhino be? Infantry and mounted. What a time to be alive. So Land Raiders here. Land Raider just says infantry, so he could embark in a Land Raider. Rhino says excluding Terminator, so he can get in a Rhino. So I don't know what the capacity this mounted thing is working in. What's that doing? That's weird, dude. The Drukhari Beast Pact guy is infantry mounted. He's not just jump infantry. I thought he was jump infantry. Is that true? What's the cat doing? Drawing stuff right now. The Beastmaster is infantry mounted? No, he's just mounted. Oh, he's beast mounted. Okay, so he has the same deal where he can go through walls even though he's mounted. It was bizarre. That's super duper weird. I don't think there's any like anti-mounted stuff in the game, right? I guess it means that like he's mounted, but he's affected by anti-infantry stuff. That just basically means you're infantry. Infantry has so much more rules context than mounted does. It's like it's a just bizarre addition because I don't know if it's doing anything. Yeah, nothing procs off the mounted keyword. Yeah, for sure. Bizarre. It doesn't really matter though. In fairness, Infernal Master. Grant sustained hits, has a sweet torrent. It looks like he's largely unchanged. Glints of Eternity, so once per turn, hit wound or saving throw turned to an unmodified 6. I think he is literally identical, so he's probably still going to be great. Regular Sorcerer. A lot of these they're kind of like duplicated. They have a really bad picture of a datasheet and then a good picture of a datasheet afterwards. So regular Sorcerer grants lethal hits. He's lost his lone operative effect, so he can no longer protect the Rubric Marines from shooting outside 18 inches. He has a bolt pistol. He cannot take a flamer pistol. Ooh. Warp flame pistols are gone, it looks like. See what the Exalted Sorcerers do, I guess. That's unfortunate. That's actually a really big deal. Oof. He's a 6-shot, range 24. It used to be range 12. Psychic, sustain 3, strength 5, AP 1 damage. Once per battle in shooting or fight, he can increase his strength and attack characteristic of psychic weapons by 3. So he goes to 9 shots, sustain 3. So you're probably averaging 1.5 misses and then 1.5x 3 hits. So 10.5 average hits if you don't have any. It's supposed to skill 3. Excuse me. So you miss 3 times. So you basically are just going to be getting like 10-ish additional 10-ish hits, I guess, on average. Unless you have a bonus, which you probably will if you're coming out of a Rhino. That's definitely not a bad gun, especially the fact that it shoots out to 24 now is a huge deal. Losing flamer pistols is wild. Sustain 3? Yeah, that's what it used to be. But it used to also be 2d6 shots. So you had literally no idea what it was going to do. It could either fizzle and do nothing or literally kill a tank in one go. It was wild. Exalted Sorcerer gives you a 4+ invulnerable save, regenerates guys on a 2+. The stuff he currently does. He keeps his ass blast. D6 shot, strength 6, AP2, D3 damage. Baseline devastating wounds. Lost his Warp Flame Pistol. Seems like Warp Flame Pistols have gone the way of the dodo. The proverbial Warp Dodo, chat. That's sad. That's a sad day. But he does get both swords. He gets the staff and the sword. In case your opponent has anti-psychic defense, he can whip out his sword. Also important to note, Infernal Bow Pistols, not psychic weapons. Disc Exalted Sorcerer, looks like Binding Tendrils is the same, but he has the anti-lone operative effect. So he used to give you Arcane Shield as well. So he also gave you a 4+ invulnerable save. Now he has the lone operative. Interesting. That is fair because he used to basically like not really have leadership ability. Arcane Shield is not the greatest thing ever. Still shoots D6 shots, strength 6, AP2, D3 damage. And he is infantry and mounted. Normal stuff. Talk about the Demon Princes momentarily. Demon Prince of Tzeentch when he's near an infantry unit or an infantry mounted unit. Important to note. His special ability is that each time a friendly Thousand Suns Psyker model with a Cabal Sorcerer's ability is destroyed within 9 inches of one or more Demon Princes of Tzeentch, select one of those models with this ability until the end of the battle. Each time the selected model attempts a ritual, add 1 to the psychic test result. He still only gets 1 cast, but he can become Magnus when it comes to casting. How many points are these guys, chat? Did I save my... do I have my... thing here? I don't have the points in front of me right now, chat. Sure, you can grab him. Somebody tell me how many points this guy is in the league. Forget where I saved it. I should have brought it up. I'm a little discombobulated this morning. Let's see. $180? 170 for winged guy? Huh. Alright. I don't know if I love the idea of a guy whose only use case is that the rest of your army is dead. But I guess in fairness, it doesn't mean that he triggers off losing aspiring sorcerers or something. So it's it's almost certainly going to trigger, right? It'll happen. It's just that he doesn't do anything proactive, which I don't super love. He's got weird internal anti-synergy. He makes your army harder to kill and then buffs. What the fuck? And then buffs himself when they die. So there's weird times where he won't get any benefit because he's making himself harder. Hey, what's up? What up, cat? Can you not, please? Oh. Okay. He also, let's see, he has a psychic power now. He ignore cover, sustained hits 1, strength 4, AP 1. 2 up, sustained 1, so should convert everything. And ignore cover is good, especially if you have any additional bonuses for psychic weapons active. His infernal cannon's only 3 shots, so it's not the same as the empowered Tzeentch one that you get from demons, but it is AP 2. So that's neat. They should have called it an inferno cannon, but then people would think it's a flamer, so maybe they shouldn't have done that. So I like that he's better at shooting though. That always felt weird about that guy. The winged demon prince. Each time he makes an attack targeting a character unit, reroll hit roll of 1 and wound roll of 1. If it attacks a psych or character unit, reroll the hit roll and the wound roll. Each time it destroys a character, it regenerates D3 lost wounds. If it was a psych, it regenerates 3 wounds instead. It is a legitimately good ability. Given the fact that if you're hitting most infantry characters in the game, you're hitting on 2s, winning on 2s, gaining full rerolls against them is huge. And then even into bigger psychic stuff like demons, he gets full hit and wound rerolls. That's extremely relevant. And you can also imagine that he swings up into Nemesis Dread Knights or something, and he's just bump, or Grandmaster specifically. It's a little annoying that it's character restricted only. I wish it was one of those things where it gave you some different numbers based on whether or not they were characters, but I understand why they didn't want to do that. But given the fact, given how many characters are in the game right now, that will be relevant in most games. When he's set up using Deep Strike, he can perform an Aether Stride. If it does, he can go. What's this number? 7? I can't read that shit. So we know what this number is supposed to be. It's probably 6 inches away, right? He can gain his Dark Blessing sustained D3. Oh, it gets both. He can be near enemies, gain sustained D3, and cannot declare a charge. Oh, that's sad. You could 6 inches strike this guy. 7 inches. Probably a 3 on the sheet. 6 because of Data Slate? Yeah, potentially. Interesting. So he's a pretty good utility guy. I don't know if I like the idea that he can 6-inch deep strike but can't charge afterwards. It's weird compared to the Death Guard Codex, where they just have that on fucking Terminators, and then they're hey, this guy, he can't charge. And you're okay, well, what is he doing then? I guess his Dark Blessing does get the reroll effect, so getting rerolls on it and sustained D3 does mean he's randomly really good at piking lone characters. You have a little lone, stupid ancient Space Marine Ancient holding their home objective. This guy just shows up and he's what's up, dude? Just vaporizes him, which is gonna be neat. I actually think this guy's probably relatively playable. He's definitely a much more interesting play pattern than the previous version, who was like, I don't know, do a wear a temporal surge hijinks on me or do nothing. So I don't dislike him. He does feel maybe a little expensive for the cost, but you get rituals out of them too, so maybe it's fine. He also doesn't get sustained if he ingresses. Yeah, but then he's just gonna charge you, so it's like fine. I think that doesn't really matter so much. You can do close deep strike surge himself onto objective. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can temporal surge and then like shoot somebody a million times and then do murder on them. Also to like clear OC so that he takes it. Yeah, well he's OC 3. Like let's say most of the time you're 5 OC. Like 90% of the time you get 5 OC on objective. I would say probably, right? And this dude's about to shoot you 12 times. So like the chances that he clears some amount of OC on an objective is pretty reasonable. And then he can steal the objective from you. So I don't know. Or at the very least contest it, right? Which I think is pretty cool. He's an inch faster now, it's true. He is an inch slower than all the other Demon Princes, though. My cat is so upset right now, and I don't know why. This guy's really cool. Is he as consistent as the other dude? I don't know, because this dude just sits there and does stuff. But he's cool as fuck. I want to play with him. Terminator Sorcerer gives you lethal hits. Target when you make an attack targeting an enemy unit that he selects in the shooting phase after his unit is shot. If it's psychic only, oh no, that's not a very good ability. Oh boy. Because his whole thing used to be that he would attach them to a unit, you would bounce them in, and then he could give them reroll once they hit against something. And now he just doesn't do that. He buffs the rest of your army. And if he misses, or his Aspiring Sorcerer misses, his Terminator Sorcerer misses, then he just does nothing at all. Ew. Terminator Sorcerer. No wonder Scarab Occult's got cheaper. Jesus. That is a big downgrade, actually. Would you play him on his lonesome? I don't even know, because it used to be you would just like hop him in and he would give you rerolls, which is kind of neat, and then cast some spells. Like now you have to attack with him, so you can't like do his thing and do something else, do an action or whatever. Ugh. Terminator Sorcerer. I'm not a fan, my guy. Stop. Get some help. All right. Let's talk about some detachments, chat. Cool. Grand Coven. This is the new incarnation of the Skulls of Magic. So in your command phase, you can select an ability to take effect until the start of your next command phase. You can only select each of the abilities once per battle. Imbued Manifestation gives you plus 6 inches of range to psychic weapons. Psychic Maelstrom gives you +1 to wound with psychic weapons. Wrath of the Immaterium gives you devastating wounds. Although I believe, as the leaks have stated, that there is a egotistical power. A psychic unit from your army can gain the effects of one of these abilities for the rest of the battle round, for the rest of the turn, until the start of your next command phase. So you can do it. You can give yourself devastating. We can do the old wombo combo. We can just constantly be devastating wounding out our Arcane Vortex guy. You just keep that guy in devastating wound time all the time. Just keep blasting people. Let's go. We've Lord of Forbidden Lore, plus 6 inches of range to rituals. Kind of mid, because you still require line of sight, so I don't know. It's whatever. Incandium. You can attempt once per battle. You can select Doombolt, even if a model from already has already manifested with Doombolt this phase. Okay, whatever, dude. All right, and then you can fail it because it's a 7 to cast, and then maybe do D3 mortal wounds. All right. I feel like this was written when Doombolt was still really strong, and they were like, we should limit the old Lord of Forbidden Lore effect to just be Doombolt. And you're like, yeah, if Doombolt wasn't like a rhino exploding next to you, like, that's whatever. Umbrellific Crystal. In your command phase, if you're not in engagement range, you can move from the battlefield, place your unit in strategic reserve, reinforcement 7 for your next movement phase. Oh, that's the same turn, though. Just kidding. It's the same. You can set it back up on the battlefield more than 9 inches away. So that's unchanged. Still has the good timing. It works in your command phase. And that timing is even better now because you don't lose Cabal points for going into reserve because you don't care about that mechanic anymore. So, Umbrellific Crystal stonks up. Play it every game. Let's fucking go. Eldritch Vortex of Etop. Okay. +1 strength and damage to psychic weapons. It's just Arcane Vortex. Well, you take these 2 every game. The other ones, whatever, I guess. Detachment still seems pretty solid, to be honest. If you supercharge Doombolt, it's a 50/50 chance for D3+3, not so bad. Yeah, and if you like, it feels like if you are taking the Demon Prince, right? That feels like where you put that, and then you are manifesting at +2, and you can potentially get a good Doombolt out on a. It's like a 10 to cast, so it's on 8, a 2d6 8 or a 3d6 8 and you take mortals. For the D3+3, like that feels okay. If you can get it on somebody with a cast bonus, but I wish what this said was you can attempt to when you attempt to like manifest a ritual, you can select Doombolt even if a model has already manifested at this phase. If it's like successful, you can't attempt it again. So like you can always get a Doombolt try, but you only ever get 1 success. The problem I have with this is that it's like you could be manifesting Doombolt and like roll a 6 on 3 dice or whatever, and then your entire enhancement does nothing. It just turns off, and I don't love that. I wish it gave you a little bit of control over it, but I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just because we're talking about chaos codexes, but I feel like we talk about effects being like super variant in 40k a lot, like kind of unnecessarily so, and that feels like an instance of that. I'm okay with Doombolt being hard to cast because you can try it a million times, but I don't like it that it's when it's tied to a thing that you paid actual points for that you can potentially just get no use out of, which is awkward. Once per battle is sad. Yeah, I understand why they didn't want to make it repeatable, right? Like give you just constant mortal wound output. Like I get that. It was probably too toxic in the index version. All right, Psychic Dominion has not changed. Destined by Fate has not changed after saving throws failed. If you are fast dice rolling, the stratagem can still be used after rolling multiple saving throws at once. GW, you are a fucking godsend. What they still haven't done, though, and we talked a little bit about fast dice rolling in my video or my release this morning. They've never clarified that if you have a random damage weapon, you can fast dice roll saving throws. According to the core rules, that is against the rules, and they've never said otherwise, and that's almost certainly unintended, and it gets my goat every time, dude. No pun intended. No pun intended. But it's so annoying. It's like annoying to police. Like nobody actually understands it works that way. But it says that if the damage value is random, you cannot use fast dice rolling. It says that literally in the text, and it's so stupid. And I understand why it says that. It says that because you have to roll the damage rolls in one at a time, but it never specifies that that's only for damage rolls, and that pisses me off. But anyway, Destined by Fate has been clarified to be used alongside fast dice rolling, which is sweet. Because theoretically, there was an argument previously that you couldn't do that. A Mutalith is a flat +1 to cast. Oh shit! Really? Whoa! I mean, I didn't know that. You're telling me new stuff. That's really cool, dude. I love that. Let's go Mutalith Vortex Beast. Hot damn. Egotistical power we talked about. You're gonna probably use it every turn to flip yourself into another thing. Desecration of Worlds. You have Obsec in your command phase with Psyker units. Let's fucking go, dude. That's great. What's the timing on Umbrellific Crystal? Is it start of command phase? in your command phase. Oh my god, so you can take an objective, obsec it, and then crystal off? What? That's so sick. That's incredible. What the fuck? Okay. The timing works correctly. That's amazing. So you can like literally just keep your Umbralific Crystal unit on your home objective for the entire game, and then like once per game, you should be like, I'll pay my 1 CP to hold this, and then leave. After you've killed all your opponents up, down, or whatever. That's super good. Arcane Focus. I have Arcane Vortex on the mind. Usable in your shooting phase after you take a psychic test for 1,000 Suns model that channeled. You re-roll all of the d6 for the psychic test, including the additional d6. Oh, great strat. So you roll 2d6, be like, hey, on a 3+, I get the ritual. Fail it, 1 CP, try it again. That's sick. You could also potentially reroll out of doubles. Unlikely, but you could try to reroll out of doubles as well. Great strat. You'll love to see it. Devastating Sorcery. It's 2 CP now. Oh, it's the extended range sorcery and the rerolls baked in. Jesus. Psychic unit from your army not been selected to shoot for 2 CP till the end of the phase. Add 9 to the range characteristic, and each time you make an attack with the psychic weapon, reroll the hit roll and the wound roll. Jesus Christ. So they stacked them together. Instead of letting you pick or choose one or the other, you just do both all the time. So here's part of the problem with this, it feels to me, is that there's no free strat rituals anymore. And it seems like we've looked at all the characters, or most of the characters, and we've looked at the Demon Princes. There's basically no CP generation effects whatsoever in this entire codex. So these 2 CP strats feel like they're almost entirely out of reach. So the damage output of this detachment has plummeted, absolutely plummeted. Especially if you're trying to use this ability to gain yourself additional keywords on your psychic weapons. I don't know how you're fueling this. It feels like you're going to be just burned on CP constantly. There's no strat. They got rid of Ensorcelled Infusion, so there's no strat to make Infernal Boltgun Psyker. So you can't use any of these on your regular bullets. They are only for your characters, essentially. Which is a significant downgrade in output. Kairos can generate CP? Dude, this is not the Kairos detachment, though. You can't take Kairos. You can give up to 15 inches? Yeah, that's true. Magnus is shooting the casual 39 inches across the thing. So, to some extent, I do love some of the effects that this has. On the other hand, I'm a little worried that it's going to feel a little tepid. Just because it's I don't know, it's kind of like middling attack volume. And it is it's going to be incredibly CP hungry. But it is called the Grand Coven, so I guess the idea is that you just play like 1 million character units. Maybe we what if we just turned Magnus's dumb treason aura into a free strat aura? Can we do that, please? All right, Changehost of Deceit. Talk about some demons. Let's go ahead and flip over and just real quick look at the demon data sheets. I don't think anything's really changed, but I want to take a quick peek at them as we are looking at these the demon detachment. So Lord of Change is the same. His Bolt of Change has not been improved at all, which is unfortunate. We'll see if he has any support inside the detachment, which would be Flamers fall back and shoot. They have a range 12 flamer gun. Let's go. Screamers looks like are the same. Anti-monster, anti-vehicle. They do mortal wounds and they fall over you. No good stuff. So Pink Horrors OC1, Blue Horrors OC0. Inside a Pink Horror unit. Let's see if they are OC0 themselves. They are. So that's why Blue Horrors are so cheap now. They're like 120 points in the Chaos in the Demon's Codex because they get you an infiltrator. Like a big infiltrating unit that's annoying and stupid to kill. They are now OC 0, so they can't do actions or hold objectives, which is huge. So no wonder these units are really cheap. They are not very good at scenario play anymore, which I guess is fair. They used to be probably way too good at scenario play, but that is a big deal. That's a big old deal, but at least you get a billion of them for cheap. So that's good to know, I guess. All right. Let's go back to the Changehost detachment. Oh my god, I just went through everything else. All right, here we go. Detachment ability. Scintillating Legion units have, well, a friendly 1,000 Sun Psyker unit is within 6 inches and visible to this unit. Okay. Really? Visible? Okay. Models in that unit have a 4+ invulnerable save against ranged attacks. 1,000 Suns unit grant Scintillating Legion Psykers Cabal of Sorcerers. Well, they're visible. What is this focus on visibility? It's so weird. Remember when psychic powers were like explicitly didn't require visibility? They're like, you affect the mind. It doesn't matter. It's weird that they all require visibility now. It has the same Scintillating Legion's restrictions as all the other demon detachments. You get up to 1,000 points of cool guys, cool demons. You can include Scintillating Legion stuff, but they can't be your warlord. Normal stuff. 4+ invulnerable save against ranged attacks. So you arcane shield all of your psyker units, so all your rubric marines and stuff. And I assume Zangors with attached shamans as well, which actually makes them probably hard to kill. We'll have to look at those for sure. Enhancements: Nether Shriek Mind Eater. What a name. At the start of your shooting phase, select an enemy unit within 12 inches invisible to the bearer. The unit must take a battle shock test. If it is failed, it suffers 3 mortal wounds. On 1,000 Suns or Lord of Change model only. If that is cheap, that's going to be not too bad. A battle shock test to potentially take through. A battle shock test is already okay, especially at the start of the shooting phase, because that's a good timing for it. Because you can try to turn off people's defensive strats, right? So like there's a Land Raider in the middle of the table. You rock up and you hit it with a battle shock test. If they fail it, they can't smoke, they can't AOC, they can't do anything, right? They can't reactive disembark, all that stuff turns off. So that's actually probably not too bad, but not if it's super expensive. If it's super expensive, it's so random you don't want to take it. Diabolic Savants. 1,000 says infantry model only. Well, the bearer is within 6 inches of one or more Scintillating Legion units. Each time the bearer channels the warp, add 1 to the psychic test result. Ooh, that's pretty good. So he's going to give himself a +1 bonus, not the Scintillating Legion stuff, himself. But, and it only works when he rolls the third d6 on a psychic test. So you can get potentially a Demon Prince up to 3 to cast with this. 3d6 plus 3, which gives you like you're so likely to get off your empowered spells at that point. That's wild. Importantly as well, it doesn't care which Scintillating Legion unit you're near to when you get this, so it doesn't have to be like a Psyker itself, right? You can get it off of like a Flamer or a Screamer. It just has to be a demon. Duplicitous Malediction. 1,000 Suns or Lord of Change only. After you have deployed your armies, you can put the units in strategic reserve. Right, those are always okay. Especially with Lords of Change, which are like big and obnoxious. Tome of True Names. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, you can use this enhancement. It's 1,000 Suns of infantry only. Yeah, good, fair enough. Don't want to put this on a monster. If it does, until the end of the phase, bearer has a 2+ invulnerable save. Phenomenal. That is a good... It's a 2+ invulnerable save, no parentheses. So you can reroll on it, you can manipulate it. That's actually a big deal. That's super good. You love that. So you can like rock out with an Infernal Master, like Super Flame or someone, and then on the crackback you have a 4+ invulnerable save, an auto pass save, and then a 2+ invulnerable, and then you can turn it into a 2+ invulnerable save. Sick. You have a 4+ invuln save with an auto pass against shooting, and then a A 2+ vulnerable save into melee if they charge you. You're like, get wrecked, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to deal with you. Yeah, enhancement seems sweet. Sulfur stratagems we're into. Sulphurous Veil. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase. After an enemy has selected its targets, you get -1 to hit for a CP. That's fine. It's a fine defensive strat. It's not amazing, but it's okay. Deceptive Glamour. Start of the fight phase. You choose a 1,000 Suns unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model within an engaged range of your unit selects targets for its attacks, it can only target your unit if no Scintillating Legion units are eligible targets for this attack. It's 2 CP? Ew. So, the only time that this is good is if your opponent is attacking you with one big thing that's engaging 1,000 Suns thing and one Scintillating thing. If they're attacking with like a big unit, each model chooses independently. So if you've engaged 2 of their models with your Scintillating Legion, and they have 3 of their models engaging your 1,000 Suns, those 3 models will still get to attack the 1,000 Suns stuff. It's not like the Suffering Sacrifice or whatever, where the unit just redirects all its attacks to the new target. So it's very narrow use case. If you have the CP up for it, and you can force like a knight or something to attack into like a blue horror unit, that's going to be a big deal. But if you don't have that, this is really tough to use. 2 CP is a lot for that effect because that's very narrow. Ethereal Phantasm. In your opponent's movement phase, after an enemy unit ends a normal advanced or fallback move, you get a D6 normal move or a 6-inch normal move on a Scintillating Legion unit. If it is wholly within 6 inches of one or more friendly 1,000 Suns units. Wholly within? Okay. That's probably not going to happen, but all right. Not within? Wholly within? And it's not end the move within. It's trigger wholly within 6 inches of 1,000 Suns unit. All right. Well, this is a 1 CP D6 reactive move, which is like fine. Fractal Disjunction. Scintillating unit from your army excluding monsters. Dude, they fucking hate Lords of Change. Oh, no. Oh, Lords of Change are not good here. Oh, boy. That is unfortunate. Yeah. Fractal Disjunction. Scintillating Legion unit from your army that was selected as a target of one or more attacking its attacks. You can only be selected as a target if you're within 18 inches. That's a good strat. I don't want to put it any other way. This is good. Chrono Sorcerer's Bleed. Your opponent's charge phase after an enemy unit has declared a charge. A Psyker unit or Scintillating Legion unit, you can give them -2 to charge. Also a great strat. Glimmer Shift Portal up to 2 Scintillating Legion units or 1 monster 3 inches away from enemy units can go into strategic reserve for a CP. Also good. I'm gonna level with you. I'm not that into this, to be honest. There's also so you get Kairos, which is okay, but there is no damage amps whatsoever. And also, take a peek here. Also, so you grant. Oh no. You grant the Scintillating Legion units the ability so they can cast rituals, but the rituals only affect 1,000 Suns units. Unless there's a cutout for that in the detachment ability, which I don't think there is. Yep. There's not. So these can be cast by your demons, but they don't affect the demons. So we still have super mid damage output on Lords of Change. We have literally no way to improve it. Oh. And they don't have like cast buffs or anything. There's no enhancements for them. I was kind of hoping this would be like, hey, pay SCP, Lord of Change only. You get like a huge fucking like big. You get an Everstay for the turn, you know. but they didn't do that. So you're stuck with your trash like strength 9 gun. I think that there's probably play for this if you are taking a regular Thousand Suns army and you are including like some number of demon like support units. So you have like a couple of screamers and a couple of flamers and like stuff like that to go help out the team. Yeah. But like I don't know, chat. Like the thing's like you can't target Kairos Fate Weaver with the please don't shoot me aura. Like what the fuck is that? That dude just falls over dead. He's not hard to kill. He's like T10. He's like a predator with extra steps, basically. I'm sorry to all the people who are rooting for the Changehost of Deceit. Unfortunately, so like the real talk is that like the Tzeentch demon datasheets just need so much help to succeed. And so like, you know, like Scintillating Legion, the detachment itself, right? It has like, it gives your Lords of Change like infinite range and indirect fire, right? Like in order to make them playable. It gives you like up downs while you're in engagement, right? In order to make these datasheets good. And that's the kind of support you need to make Tzeentch demons playable because their datasheets just on a baseline level are it's like super not playable. My cat is going insane right now, by the way, chat. And this detachment is just simply not doing that. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm not into it. I don't like it. I don't like this one. All right. Well, Warpmeld Pact is the next one. So this affects Tzeentch mutants. Hey, kitty. Look at this cat, by the way. This is my demonic familiar right here. My tutelary. Inky, are you my tutelary? Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Please don't betray me to the changer of ways and turn me into some sort of bizarre spawn. You'll do that. I know. I know you too well. So before we dive into Warpmeld Pact, actually, let's talk about the mutant datasheets real quick, which I appreciate are in their own little section in the Codex. So they're kind of like a sub-faction, which is neat. All right. The Chaos Spawn is like the Chaos Spawn datasheet is fucking cursed in this upload. Oh my god. This is like the most basic bitch Chaos Spawn datasheet we've ever seen. It's basically just like a regular fucking Chaos Spawn datasheet. Move 8, normal Chaos Spawn stuff. It gets a 5+ vulnerable save for being a Tzeentch guy, and it heals 5+ feel no pain, and it heals 3 mortal wounds each player's command phase. Good. That's good. I don't know. They seem fine. They're not as flashy as the Emperor's Children or the World Eaters ones, or in fairness, even the Chaos Spawn ones, though the Nurgle ones, but they seem really good. I don't know. Zongor Shaman is a psyker. He's infantry now, chat. He's learned to use his disc. He's learned to ride the waves, baby. Totally tubular, bro. That's actually sick. If this guy's cheap, what's the points for him? Somebody tell me. Oh my god, you're so loud, cat. I have a sneaking suspicion I locked the door on her and she can't leave and she wants to. After we talk about this guy, I will take a peek. Zangor Shaman is... I can't find him. Inky, could you fucking mind, kitty? Jesus Christ. 55 points. So you can get 55 point like utility psychers that can run up and like do actions and cast spells and then die and fuel your demon princes. And they're infantry and they're move 10. I think that's playable by itself, chat. I think that's just fine. He's still got his D6 shot, devastating wound gun, which is totally fine. He gives his unit +1 to hit, which is good. While he's leading a unit, each time it's selected to shoot or fight, you can select a bodyguard model in the unit. That model is destroyed. And then you get plus D3 attacks and strength to him, the guy himself. That's adorable. He has 2 leadership abilities. Yeah, honestly, it seems fine. I don't know. I don't know if I would be that excited about using this in melee. But I don't. You can make him just like potentially strength 12 on his gun. D6 plus D3 shot, strength 12, devastating. That's definitely not nothing. And if he's leading in it, he's hitting on 2s also. All right. You're speaking my language right now. All is ba. The faction up for Chaos Spawn is bad Chaos Spawn. I don't think they're bad. They're just not exciting. The other Chaos Spawn are like super flashy and do a million things. These Chaos Spawn are just like, it's like the bare bones basic bitch Chaos Spawn unit. The real bad Chaos Spawn are the Chaos Space Marine ones. Eat your heart out, Jesus Christ. Zangor Enlightened. Let's talk about these guys. So this is the spear version. Oh, they can have chainswords and auto pistols. Somebody was actually asking that. And you can switch them out for Divining Spears if you want to. The Divining Spear is Lance Precision, 4+ weapon skill, strength 5, 1, 2 damage. I don't think that's changed. Did they go up in attack? They used to have 2 attacks, or were they always 3? They're also... Oh, they're not infantry! Oh my god. The curse continues. They haven't learned to surf yet. They're not one with the board. It's not an extension of yourself, bro. The Divining Spear... Oh, it actually lost an AP. That's awkward. It used to be AP 2. Oh, it used to be AP 2 1 damage. Now it's AP 1 2 damage. All right, that's a buff. I'm confident in calling that a buff. So they can't go through walls still. Get fucked. Oh man. Each time they end a charge move, select an enemy unit within engagement range. Roll 1d6 for each model in the unit that's engagement range of the enemy. In a 4+ except for 1 mortal wound. So they have a Hammer of Wrath. That's nice. 4+ weapon skill is awkward, and the chainsword doesn't have an AP value, so it's a little bit weird. But yeah, I don't know. They seem totally fine. A little expensive, I guess, for that profile, but that's probably fine.
Ryan G donated $2 through Super Chat. Can the Shaman join Enlightened?
Sure can, chat. Sure can. You can also join him with the with Ahriman and with, I believe, the Disc Sork. Let me verify that. Nope. Oh, yes. You can join with the Disc Sork. It's right there. So you can give them like Lone Operative potentially, which is kind of neat. And that also means you can put 7 models in the unit for up to 7 for rolling mortal wounds. It is the bad mortal wound output though, not the good one. So you lose out on the any models that don't get to engagement with the charge roll. It's not the Blood Crusher mortal wounds where they just do mortal wounds based on the models in their own unit. Yeah, model per model, move through walls, yeah. And that's honestly probably to stop them from being like a hyper-efficient utility unit. Honestly, for 5 more points, you just get a whole-ass shaman. Which it might be better, in my opinion. I don't know. 5 more points, you get to go through walls, and you get a gun that's, like, really good. And he's a psyker. And his melee is, like, a little bit worse, but not, like, hugely. Zangor Enlightened with great bows. Great bow looks like it's basically the same profile. I think he did get an AP. It used to be AP 2 or was it AP 1? Great bow was AP 1 2 damage. Now it's AP 2. That's nice. Oh, and ignores cover now. Fuck me. Okay. We just play these guys. That's a legit gun. Wait, so you can play these guys with the disc sork and they like make you unshootable outside 18. You're just like pounding 12 strength 5 AP 2 ignore cover shots down range. It's actually kind of neat. Is it worth the points per unit? I don't know. 100 points per unit or whatever it is. Eh. Plus a character? Probably not. But is it cute? Extremely. They have a reactive move. And they have an armor save. They always had an armor save. Reactive move, it's the same deal. When you end a normal move or advance or fallback move within 9, they can D6 move away. But not through walls. because they're not infantry. Get wrecked. Seems good. Regular Zangors. They have 6-inch Scout. Let's go! Reports of Thousand Suns losing Scout have been greatly exaggerated. They still have it on their utility unit. They get a Brayhorn to reroll advance and charge rolls. Great ability. Herd Banner to get +1 leadership. If they are on an objective marker you control. Totally fine. That's totally fine. I think that's actually, I would say that's not even bad, to be honest. Is that puts them to leadership 6 as long as they're towing onto objective, which is cute. At the end of your opponent's turn, if the unit is more than 6 inches horizontally away from enemy units, you can move it and place it into strategic reserve. This unit's, I'm going to say it now, fucking great. Take 2 of these in every list. And they're what, like 70 points? 70 points? So it's like a scout unit. You get the same number of wounds, higher model count, so you're better at screening. You lose infiltrate, but you keep the up down. Probably, I guess it's worse than Space Marine Scouts. But in fairness, Space Marine Scouts are one of the best units in the game. So, like, I don't know. As a utility piece, no notes. I think these guys are great. Super good. Auto include. Yeah, Scout and up down. Let's fucking go, dude. Mutilith Vortex Beast. First of all, surprised this thing's still in the Codex. You didn't get legended yet, Mutilith? Hot damn, dude. Way to keep on keeping on. T10, 4+5 13 wounds, 5+ Fennel Pain, OC4. Looks like the top line profile hasn't changed. Guns have not changed. I think at all, right? He's just identical to what he used to be. Yeah, he's a 2d6 strength 6 AP1. A d6 +3 blast, strength 9 EPT 2 damage, or a devastating d6 +6 strength 18. Yeah, he's identical. Melee profile is, I guess his claws went down a damage, but up a strength, so side grade. The 4 damage was weird. I don't know. It felt like a lot. Or 15 little baby attacks. At the end of your movement phase, roll a d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of him. On a 2 to 3, you take a mortal wound. It used to, does that used to affect that all the time? It used to be, yeah, on a 2+1 mortal wound, on a 4+ d3 mortal wounds, on a 6+ d6. Then you take a battle shock test. Literally, that changed. The thing that has changed is immaterial flare, which now gives you +1 to psychic test within 6 inches. Oh, each time you channel. And that is just for my own edification, right? That is literally when you take the extra d3. Yeah. So it's not when you attempt to manifest a ritual, it's when you add d6. Oh, that's not bad. That's not as good. So it's basically the same thing as the enhancement that we just looked at for the demon detachment. Although they do stack, so you can have a Mutilith and this thing, and when you channel, you get d6 +2 to your result. It's kind of wild. Which means that you are almost certain, like, you're there's a reasonable chance you're taking mortal wounds when you're gaining that +1. So it's not just all the time. That doesn't feel quite as great. If it was a flat +1 to cast, you would literally never not play that guy. But it is literally only when you channel. I guess it's like theoretically when you need it, it's +1, which is nice, but it's hard to plan around that, right? And it's also checks to the model, not the unit within 6. So the actual caster has to be next to the Vortex Beast. It doesn't, like, you can't chain a rubric and get the effect either. I mean, I'm not going to say that the Vortex Beasts are bad. I think this profile is still good. It's just not quite as good as I was sort of hoping it would be. Oh, the beam lost an AP. Oh, you're right, chat. Oh yeah, it went up to range 36 from 24. That's actually big. That's much better actually. AP3 kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Just roll 6s. I don't know. All right. Before I'm gonna go to my intermission here momentarily. I'm gonna see cat. And I think she just needs me to open the door for her. I'm gonna be gone for about 15 seconds. Chat. One moment. before we go on to the Mutant detachment. That was exactly what Chip needed me to open the door. All right, so let's talk about mutants. More mutants. Warpmeld Pact, the mutant detachments. Yeah, vortex beasts are weird. It's like a mutated, like it's mutated life form from the planet of the sorcerers, I think, that has like warp infused into it. So it's like technically a regular animal that like got fucked up rather than a demon that's like aping an animal, basically, which I guess is the distinction. All right. Warpmeld Sacrifice. Each time an enemy unit is selected to shoot or fight, and one or more Tzeentch mutant demon units from your army are selected as the target. Each of those Tzeentch mutants can make a Warpmeld Sacrifice. If you do, you take D3 mortal wounds. Again, if you are a Mutilous Vortex Beast, you could feel no pain potentially. Until the end of the phase, each time the attack targets that unit. So importantly, when you are targeted, you take D3, you apply -1 to wound for the unit for the entire phase, not against that attack, for the whole phase. So potentially, you could shoot a Mutilous Vortex Beast. It takes 2 mortal wounds. It feel no pains one of them, takes 1 damage, and gets -1 to wound against your opponent's entire army. That's fucking wild. Then each time you're selected to shoot or fight before selecting your targets, you can make a Warpmeld Sacrifice. If you do, take D3 mortal wounds, same deal. Then you get +1 to wound. Phenomenal. That is a super good ability, specifically on Vortex Beasts. Super duper good on Vortex Beasts, goddamn. Zangor units have battle line, and while you are not battle shocked, add 1 to their OZ characteristic. They become your battle line boys. Enhancements. Zangor Shamans can take all of these, except for Braylord. Warpmeld Dagger gives you, each time you attempt a ritual, before determining the psychic test result, you can use the enhancement. If you do, the bearer, not the unit, the character suffers D3 mortal wounds. If it's not destroyed as a result, add 1 to the psychic test result for each of the mortal wounds suffered. Whoa! If that's not super expensive, that's really good as a one-off. Just having a little guy running around and he can like poke himself to ensure that you get off like huge rituals. That's super cool. I guess the downside is that they're 4 wounds, right? So if you use the dagger, you almost certainly can't empower because you are almost certain to kill yourself on the empowerment. There were 5 wounds. This would be amazing, actually, because there is a combination of 2 dice rolls that doesn't kill you, but. In fact, on average, you don't die. But on average, you do die if you empower, roll doubles, and use this thing. It's cool if you take 3 mortal wounds, you get +2 to the cast, though. That's neat. Diamond of Distortion, Zangor Shaman model. While you're leading a unit, each time attack targets that unit, -1 to hit. Pretty good. So you can be -1 to hit and wound. Awkward. Braylord, the bearer, it's on a Sorcerer or Infernal Master. You can attach to Zangor units, and you gain 6-inch Scouts. Also, here's an important note. You don't have to attach to Zangor units to gain 6-inch Scout. You can keep yourself alone and then scout him. You could put him on a Rhino and scout the Rhino. Is that good? Probably not. Is it neat? Yes, extremely. Flowing Flesh. Zangor Shaman has a 4+ feel no pain and a wounds characteristic of 5. Oh, that's great. So he has a really good chance to shrug empowered psychic tests. And he probably doesn't die to 2 failed psychic tests. In fact, he probably takes like 3 or 4 before he goes down. He's essentially 10 wounds on average. So it's awkward because like you kind of want to put these 2 things together, but you can't do that, obviously. That's very good, though. So like little one-off individual Zangor Shamans going around and casting spells is actually kind of sick in this attachment. When you take mortals from the channeling, it goes into the units. Oh, does it? Whoa, hold up. Did I misread that? The model's unit suffers D3. You're totally right, chat. Wow, that's great. So you can put that guy in a little 50-point Zangor unit, and then he can stab himself and empower his ritual, and you almost certainly get a max ritual off. Whoa, that's a good call out. That's much more reliable than I thought it was. So you're just like peeling Rubric Marines out, basically, to failed tests there. Sick, dude. I love to see it. 10 points for the dagger. Okay, that's just print it, dude. We'll just take that thing. Means you can reasonably force full rerolls and AP +2. Yeah, for sure. Gift of Change is the first stratagem. 1 CP. Use it on a character model from your army that was just destroyed. This stratagem fucking rules, dude. Are you kidding me? Until the at the end of the phase, add 1 Tzeentch Chaos Spawn unit containing 1 model to your army. Set it up as close as possible to where your model was just destroyed and not in engagement range of enemies. You can only use it once per battle round. Brother. This detachment wants you to play like triple independent fucking little dubers all over the place. You like run one little utility shaman out, and he's like, I'm doing an action. Your opponent shoots him off an objective, and you're like, there's a chaos spawn there now. Go fuck yourself. That's sick, dude. I love this stratagem. That stratagem rules. It also affects anything. It's any non-monster character. All your little guys can turn into spawn. It's so cool. Zangor unit from your army for 1 CP. Shooting or fight phase, it's been selected as a target. You get a 4+ invulnerable save. Also great. You're scouting 20 mans at your opponent that can be -1 to hit and wound and have a 4+ invuln. Are you kidding me? Who is going to kill this thing? God himself could not kill the Zangors. It is Zangors with a plural. It's not a it's not a Zangor unit, so I don't believe. We'll double check here. I don't believe that we can use it on the Enlightened, because those are just mutants, right? Yeah, they are Zangor Enlightened. They are not Zangors. It works only on the big units of infantry dudes. Huge W. Yeah, this detachment looks fucking awesome. Deranged Ferocity, Tzeentch Mutant unit can pile in or consolidate up to 6 inches and gets a 3-inch engagement. So you can fight within 3 inches of an enemy model, and you can attack an enemy unit within 3 inches as long as that unit is in engagement range. So as long as someone from your unit is within 1 inch of them, the rest of your unit can extend their engagement to 3 inches against that specific enemy in order to attack them. 6-inch pile and consolidate on this big unit is amazing. I guess the downside is that we don't have any like sweet big characters that we want to like do funny melee hijinks with. I guess you could like rock sorcerers into them with their like once per game +3 strength, but they're like weapon skill 3, so I don't know if they're that excited about that. Like AP 1d3 damage, like who cares? But you can just being able to like run 20 mans into your opponent's deployment zone and pay a CP to 6-inch consolidate and just touch everything is super obnoxious, especially given how the turn 1 threat range these guys potentially have. It's not super. Oh, you can advance the charge. Just kidding. No, we have a lot. I was like, the threat range isn't that big. No, there's an advance charge here. Blessed Transmutation. Tzeentch Psyker model from your army. Use it in your command phase. You select a Psyker model from your army and 1 Zangor's unit below starting strength within 12. Doesn't require visibility. Return D3+1 models excluding characters to your Zangor's unit. Phenomenal. The command phase regeneration as well. Touched by Tzeentch. Tzeentch mutants can advance, shoot, and charge for 1 CP. Phenomenal. Twisted Mirage. Reinforcement 7 of your movement phase. A Tzeentch mutant unit that is arriving from strategic reserves this phase, you can set up anywhere on the battlefield, 6 inches horizontally away. That's going to become 6 for sure, or 3 inches horizontally away. It's going to become 6. And more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. If it is a monster, you are then not eligible to declare a charge. So you get a 6-inch deep strike. It is essentially deep strike on any of your Zangors that can strat reserve. Bro, this detachment is insanity, bro. So for like not super expensive, right? You just like rock triple meal with Vortex Beast. You rock. Like, I don't even know if I'm into like doing all sorts of like weird hijinks by attaching Zangor shamans into the units. It would be cool if there was like an enhancement that made a Zangor shaman really like good at fighting or something. So then you could use like the plus D3 attacks and strength like buff on the shaman and get super like swole. But there's none of that. So you're not really that excited about doing weird melee hijinks. But you can take like, I don't know, 2 or 3 20-mans of Zangors and then a couple 10-mans for utility. And your opponent just has to deal with these idiots just like advancing and charging up the table every turn and touching all of their stuff while you're holding the midboard with 3 Vortex Beasts. And that's probably only maybe half your army. And then the rest of your army can be like Rubric Marines and stuff to do like real damage. And 3 Zangor Shamans to turn into Chaos Spawn. This detachment fucking rules, chat. This detachment's cool as fuck. Oh, man.
Ryan G donated $5 through Super Chat. So they kill your character and you poop out a spawn. Then if they shoot the spawn, you make it -1 to wound.
Yeah, you take D3 mortal wounds to make it -1 to wound. You can potentially feel no pain the mortal wounds. And then if they don't kill it on your next turn, the spawn just heals back to full. The Zangors get dusted so fast. It doesn't matter, though. Well, first of all, they're not even that hard. They're not that easy to kill, right? Because they're T4 -1 to be wounded. You assume that you have 17-man units instead of 20s, right? And they're -1 to be wounded. So your opponent's wounding on like 4s with a lot of their attacks. Then you can pay a CP to give them a 4+ invulnerable save. So if you're not being shot by like literally a Gladiator Reaper, it's going to take a significant amount of pressure to push through a unit. Not that saying that they're going to live forever, but they are going to be very difficult to kill. If you have a character in the unit, then once your opponent gets through the unit, gets through the character, you can then turn the character into a spawn. And in order to clear you off an objective, they also have a second activation to also kill the spawn. So like, it is not easy. It's not impossible. You're like T4 like idiot like morons, but it is not easy to kill these guys. And then if they don't, you can regenerate them back onto the objective in their OC2. Bro. And you can also if you're regenerating them, you can always regenerate your command guys back into the unit, and you get reroll advance and charge rolls. So they're running up the table with like full movement rerolls as well. Fuck, dude, this detachment's awesome. Not to mention the fact that like let's say your opponent kills all your Zangors, like that's fine, right? We're round 3, the Zangors are dead. There's still 3 of your Vortex Beasts that are potentially like a perma -1 to wound. And all your little Zangor units can always 6-inch deep strike in your opponent's deployment zone to score points. Like this is the best point scoring detachment probably in this whole codex. And honestly, it's like Chaos Demons level of like board control and secondary scoring. Oh yeah, that's true. It's not even a second activation to kill the spawn. You have to charge it if you're shooting, because the spawn sets up at the end of the turn. Yeah, at the end of the phase. Yeah, of course. It's like not even. It's like so impossible. Imagine that like you have like an Infernal Master like running up in the middle and being obnoxious to your opponent. With the scout enhancement, they run up. They can advance and shoot with the strat, right? So they can advance, shoot, charge, beat on somebody. Your opponent like clears through all the dudes, like gets down the chain, can't even move close to the character because you have a million Zangors in the way. They clear down, they get down to the end of the chain, they like punch through the Infernal Master, he flips his save, he's like being obnoxious or whatever, he finally kill him, then he flips over. They're still like 8 inches away from you because they had to peel through 20 Zangors to get to you, and then you turn into a Chaos Spawn, and then they have to try to charge you? Get out of here. Does killing a Zangor happen before or after you determine extra dice from blast weapons? It is on target selection, which means I think that the blast would still apply. Because the active player would order the sequence, would sequence the effects. So the active player would say, I'm going to determine blast now resolve your warp meld. I think that's how that works. So they would almost certainly always get blast. Based on your maximum unit count. Future attacks wouldn't, though. So the first, like if they have multiple blast weapons, the first one gets that extra bonus attack. If you cut yourself down below one of the 5-man cutoffs, the next attack will still get the -1 to wound, but won't get the extra blast. CP may be an issue? Yeah, I don't disagree. I think CP is going to be an issue for this whole faction. There's very little way to get 2-man points. I kind of wish there was just like a little hokey dude in the back, like, give this faction a fucking tally, man. Jesus, you know what I mean? New season might solve that. That's true. All right, Rubric Marine time, chat. Should we talk about the Dusty Boys? Right now, I am so hardcore into the Zangor Mutant Detachment. This thing seems fucking incredible. Just the 6-inch pylon consolidate to steal objectives from people, and just resilient 20-mans. Let's fucking go. All right, Rubricae units. Let's talk about Rubricae units. Scarabocult Terminators. Hellfire missile racks. It looks like not all of the rumors were true. The rumor was that Hellfire missile racks went to a D3 blast profile. That's looks like is incorrect. They're just a straight 2 shots. So, all right, fair enough, I guess. 2 flat shots is probably fine either way. Looks like the top line profile is the same. T5, 2 up, 4 up. 3 wounds. The sorcerer has 4 actually. That's a big difference. So they're slightly harder to kill. If you lose the sorcerer, their leadership goes down too. That tracks. The sorcerer has Cabal of Sorcerers and is a psyker. The unit itself can get heavy warp flamers, which are strength 5, AP2, 1 damage. Hellfire missile racks, which are strength 10, AP2, 3 damage. Soul Reaper cannons, which are strength 6, AP2 devastating wounds. Looks like just everything got +1 AP. Infernal combi bolters, rapid fire 2, strength 4, AP2, 1 damage. Doesn't ignore cover though, so I don't know where that rumor came from. Maybe it's different on rubrics, but we'll talk about them in a sec. Malefic Curse, anti-infantry 4 devastating. So it's an enhanced warp smite, essentially. It used to just be a 3-shot warp smite. Maybe that's what the warp smite's called now. I guess we'll talk about it. As long as the unit contains 1 or more Psyker models. Somebody was mentioning that you need a Terminator Sorcerer to give Scarabocult Terminators -1 to wound. That's not correct. They just have a Psyker model. So as long as you don't assign damage to the Scarabocult Sorcerer, the unit is just -1 to be wounded. So that Sorcerer just sucks. You just don't take that guy. He's just a piece of shit. I don't know. Much more independent, I guess. And they're cheaper now than they were. What's the value for 10 now? It's it is. Oh, I am having worst time with this readout. It is 375, 37 points a model. What do they compare to Blight Lords? Are they more expensive than Blight Lord Terminators? Oof. Yeah, they just have universal -1 to wound for sure. Surprised the Terminator Sorcerer didn't get legended. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I feel like he's enough of a staple for the unit that they didn't want to. He does feel way worse though. Is the Terminator Sorcerer? How many points is that guy? Is he cheap as fuck? Probably not. He's 100, I imagine, right? Yeah, Zangor Shaman, I see 55. 85 points? Eh. I don't know, chat. The base data sheet seems very good though. Like getting a bunch of bonuses from the Scarab Occult Sorcerer is a big deal. A perma -1 to wound is actually sick. And the interesting thing too is like if you do attach the sorcerer, you can eat the damage on the Scarab Occult Sorcerer early so that you can use the extra wound count, and then he dies, and then you just retain the -1 to be wounded and the leadership. So you don't need that guy. You can actually just use him to tank damage. So there is like an extra use case for including him. All right, Rubric Marines. Oh, the ignore covers from the range, the icon of flame, of course. So we do get ignore cover on these things. It's not baseline. But the comparison looks funny though. The stupid Scarab Occult Terminators don't get ignore cover, but the regular fucking rubrics do. Rubric Marines. All the Infernal pistols are all AP1. Is that true? Is that true of all the characters too? Or is that a typo? Oh, they are AP1. That's weird. Huh. Okay. Bizarre. All right. Well, fair enough. So their Warp Flame pistol has been retained for these guys. So they can still take the Flamer pistol on their little guy, which will probably do. Which is Strength 3 AP1 Ignore Cover Torrent. Fair enough. They retain Bringers of Change, so each time they make a ranged attack, they reroll 1s to wound. If they target something on an objective marker you don't control, you can reroll wounds instead. Still has the same interaction with Temporal Surge as well, so you can check objective control at the start of the shooting phase, then Temporal Surge yourself onto an objective, then shoot at your opponent while still getting reroll wounds, and then recheck objective control at the end of the phase, and take the objective by killing everyone and putting a million OC onto it. That's pretty solid. Ignoring cover baseline is fucking awesome. Definitely gives the Inferno Bolt Gun something to do over the Flamers. And the Warp Flamers are only AP1 base as well. So I wonder what the damage breakdown looks like, because the Warp Flamers are going to average like twice as many hits, but your saves are significantly depowered, right? So I don't know. The Warp Flamers might still be better, although the 24-inch range is certainly good. Malefic Curse is 3 shots anti-infantry 4, so basically exactly like the one in the Terminator unit. That does mean it's a shot over what the Warp Smite used to be. So the Sorcerer in the unit is a little bit more powerful, and also he has 3 wounds as well. And unlike the other guys, there's no reason to keep him around. So you can just tank damage on that dude a little bit. Like if you get hit by 1 damage weapons, you can just eat 3 of them on the Sorcerer, and you just lose the pistol plus the smite. But if you're shooting at long range anyway, it doesn't matter, because you're probably out of range for that stuff regardless. So you have a lot of options on damage sponging, which is neat. You can take 1 Soul Reaper cannon. You can take Warp Flamers. You can take an Icon Flame. Yep. And then the Soul Reaper cannon went up in AP2, so even more reason to take that thing, which is sweet. Neat. It's weird that these guys never got a heavy Warp Flamer. I feel like that always felt like a thing that they could do. Like if they gave them a really cool big Flamer gun, it's weird that they're shooting a long range like assault cannon and also a bunch of flamethrowers. That always felt a little strange to me. Like I feel like they want a close range special weapon, but it's not that big of a deal. I don't think anybody's gonna complain about the Soul Reaper profile because it's really good. AP2 ignore cover now is like fucking wild. It used to be that was almost a downgrade from Warp Flamers, and sometimes you saw people cutting their Soul Reaper cannons because their output compared to the they didn't care about the rending effect from the Icon of Flame. There was like weird anti-synergy there because it was devastating, so you never got it. You never got the +1 AP, so you didn't care about that. And its AP was low. It did ignore cover, and you had to roll to hit. So you're like, fuck it. I'll just take another flamethrower if I'm getting within range 12 anyway. But now this thing is like, it's just so much more damage than a flamethrower. It's awesome. Seems good. Plus they got cheaper, like dramatically cheaper too. Let's fucking go, dude. Points are, I think, 190 for It is 100 for 5, 190 for 10. So you get a 1 point per model discount for taking the full 10 because you only get one special weapon. You don't get to double up on the special guys. And I think both of those points values are very reasonable, especially if you have unit-wide buffs that we can attach to them. And let's see what they are, because we're going to talk about Rubricae Phalanx now. Detachment rule is all is dust. It's back, ladies and gentlemen. Each time an attack with an unmodified damage characteristic of 1 is allocated to a Rubricae model from your army. Does that affect the sorcerers? Yes, it does. Neat. Because they have all the keywords. The aspiring sorcerers in the units, I should say. I don't think it affects the characters. You get +1 to the armor saving throw. Not saving throw, so it doesn't affect your invulns, but it gets +1 to armor save, which is cool. I think is there weirdness with cover? I have no idea. I'm gonna assume there's not. I think you apply all of the characteristic modifiers and then the +1. I don't know, because it's not +1 to save characteristics, so it shouldn't affect whether or not you get cover, right? It's just +1 to your roll. So they basically just become a 2+ save, and then we go from there. It should. I wonder if it should say that they have a save characteristic of 2 against 1 damage weapons. That might be easier to suss out, but I don't know if there's rules context for that. It doesn't matter. +1 save is great. You love to see it. Yeah, Terminator's Rubricae as well. So they're a 1+ save against 1 damage. It's wild. All right. It's not ranged or melee, it's all attacks. So like you get hit by fucking jump pack assault intercessors and they're like, take 2 mortals. You're like, okay. And then they're like, all right, take 14 wounds, AP 1. You're like, you mean AP 0? I'll take 3 wounds and then kick the shit out of you with my cool sorcerer guy. That's pretty neat. Their effect still only works on ranged attacks. So don't let you reroll your wound rolls in melee though. So they're still not that great in melee, which I think is a fair trade-off. Enhancements. Risen Rubricae. Start of the declare formation step. Select 2 battle line units or 1 other rubric unit from your army. So either one Terminator unit or 2 rubric marine units. They gain infiltrate. Phenomenal. Infiltrating 2 rubric marine squads to just like fuck your opponent's infiltrate like forward operation is amazing. Like 2 Warpflamer units just like wandering forward and clearing all your opponent's screens is like is sick. I'm in. I'm so in. Importantly, it's start of declare battle formations. So if you use it and then attach a character to those units, they then lose infiltrate. So they go back to regular, I believe is how that works. Because you would grant them the ability before you go to the attachment step where you attach characters. I'm going to verify real quick. Let's go to Prynexus. Prynexus, what do you got for me? Yeah, so it would happen before you note down your leader units attaching to bodyguard units. Yep. So you basically can't attach characters to those units, otherwise the effect doesn't do anything. Pretty sweet. Arcane Thralls, Rubricae units within 9 rural battle shock tests. That's totally fine. I hope that's a points filler guy. You'd never feel bad about taking that, but it's never that exciting. Lord of the Rubricae, while you are leading a unit, each time a Rubricae model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to hit. Works in melee and shooting. Just every time you make an attack. And unfortunately, it doesn't work on the character themselves. Pretty good on an Infernal Master, I guess. But I think you can also already get +1 to hit from Rhinos. So I don't know if you're that excited about it. That seems fine. Stave Abominus. Bearer's melee weapons have sustained D3 and devastating. Okay. That actually is very good on a Infernal Master, because you can roll your attack rolls and then auto 6 a hit roll to sustain D3 and roll a million wound rolls to try to get devastating wounds. That's a very cool enhancement. I like that a lot. Ardent. Let's go to stratagems. Ardent Automata. In your movement phase, after a Rubricae unit from your army falls back, you are eligible to shoot and declare a charge with it. Chef's Kiss. You'll love to see it. Those are always good. Inexorable advance. In your movement phase, until the end of you select a rubricae unit from your army. You ignore modifiers to move characteristic, modifiers to advance rolls, ranged weapons equipped by your models in your unit have assault. So you have a fallback and shoot strat, and you have an advance and shoot strat. You love to see it. Infernal Fusillade. In your shooting phase, a Psyker unit from your army has not been selected to shoot. It's Psyker, not Rubricae. Does that matter? Probably not. But you can use it on your characters, I guess, which is neat. Until the end of the phase, Infernal Bolt Pistols, Infernal Bolt Guns, Combi Bolters, Infernal Combi Weapons, equipped by models in your unit, have the Psychic ability and the Strength characteristic of 5. I guess... let's talk about the rest of these strats here, and then let's verify what Rhinos do, because I think that that's going to be important. Revenge of the Rubricae. In your opponent's shooting phase, after a 1,000 Sun Psyker model from your army is destroyed, model, not unit, one Rubricae from your unit from your army that was within 6 inches of the Psyker model when it was destroyed. After the attacking unit has shot, your Rubricae unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but can only target the unit that destroyed your model if it's an eligible target. This is really cool. So the reason that this is really cool is that you basically have total control over whether your Psykers die or not, because most of your Psykers are attached into your Rubric units. So your opponent can be like, I'll flip a random missile launcher shot at that unit, and they hit, wound. You're like, I'll assign it to my, I don't know, aspiring sorcerer. He dies, and you're like, I'm gonna shoot you now. Ba-boom, get absolutely destroyed. That's super sick, especially if they've moved up to attack you, and then they've moved up. I'm gonna move up and charge you, and then I'm gonna shoot while I'm on my way in. You can just assign to your character and kill them, and then shoot them back. And before, if they've taken the objective, you get wound rerolls as well. That's really, really, really good. There's a lot of these stratagems in other factions. This one, because you just can very selectively remove your own Psykers to very low attack volumes. And in this case, actually, the Psykers having extra wound is a little bit of a downside. Obviously, you prefer it that way, but in some instances, it is kind of funnily enough, they'll randomly survive. But you can also do things instead of taking armor saves, you can take invulnerable saves. Right? So your opponent hands you 4 1-damage attacks, and you just go, I'm gonna assign them to my sorcerer and take 5 up in vulns, and then you fail 3 out of the 4 5 up in vulns, and your whole unit just vaporizes them. That's pretty neat, right? I don't know. This is a really cool stratagem. You can use it on a whole ass Scarab called Terminator unit. You can also just shoot a unit next to that Psyker, even if it wasn't the unit that they shot at. Implacable Guardians. In your opponent's shooting phase, after an enemy unit has selected its targets, Rubric Marine Psyker unit from your army. So not Scarab called Terminators, Rubric Marines with an attached Psyker. You can't have lost your sorcerer already. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is allocated to a model in your unit, excluding Psyker. I'm just I'm wandering through the implications of this, and I'm there's a situation where you run your unit up, they run forward, you overwatch them with a unit with an attached Infernal Master, and then they shoot you, you pull out the aspiring sorcerer, and then you shoot them again with your Infernal Master. It's just fucking kill them super dead. That's incredible. What were we talking about? So you can't use this stratagem on what's the word? That other thing on Scarab cults. Only Rubric Marines. You get -1 damage. Importantly, and this is why the wording of the detachment ability is important. The detachment ability only works on unmodified damage characteristics of 1, so it will not actually affect whether or not you get the benefit of all his dust. So, might be fine. Last but certainly not least, Unwavering Phalanx. In your opponent's charge phase, after an enemy ends a charge move, a Rubric Marine unit from your army within engagement of that unit gets -1 to be wounded. And it affects all incoming attacks. So even if you're in an ongoing combat and your opponent charges in a new unit, you can be -1 to be wounded. It's a really interesting timing for that stratagem. I wonder why it works that way. But that's very good, right? You can do all this stuff and then be -1 to wound, and if your opponent's 1 damage, also +1 to save. All right. I want to talk about rhinos real quick, chat, and then we can talk about like sort of the implications of the strat. Should be here. Here we go. All right. Sorceress support is the Rhino ability. So you can carry 12,000 Suns infantry, excluding Terminators. They can get up to 2 Inferno Combi Bolters and a Havoc Launcher. The Chaos Rhino like upgrade slot just like it tickles me to no end. You can either take a Havoc Launcher for free or take a strictly worse loadout where you replace one of your existing weapons with a Havoc Launcher. Why would I ever do that? I would never do that. Why even give me that option? That's so stupid. I don't understand. It's so that people can fuck up their list construction in Battlescribe or whatever in New Recruit, and then ask me to change their list after round 1 because they forgot to put their extra combi bolters on. That's exactly what it is. It's to spite me personally, I think. Sorcerer support is the special ability. After this model has shot, select an enemy unit hit by 1 or more of the attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time a friendly, I assume, model in a unit that disembarked from this transport this turn makes a psychic attack. Is there like another screenshot here that has a better version? No. This is all we get. Get fucked, I guess. Yeah, all right. Well, it's cut off, and there's nothing we can do about it. Each time a friendly model that disembarked this transport this turn makes a psychic attack that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to the hit roll, I assume, and add 1 to the wound roll. Select one enemy unit hit by one of the Rhino's attacks, then stuff that makes psychic attacks targeting enemy units that disembarked get +1 to hit and wound again. Phenomenal. So it's fire support, but it's +1 to hit and wound against stuff that you are against stuff that you fire supported against. Instead of full wound rerolls, it's +1 to hit and wound. So if we're talking about an Infernal Fusillade here with a Rubricae bolter unit, you can potentially be shooting I get is that one sec. Did we keep pistol on the warp smite? No, we actually lost the pistol, but it got +1 attack, so it's actually probably fine. So we're shooting the Soul Reaper cannon. I don't think it's the bonus, right? No. So our Soul Reaper cannon's unaffected, but we can shoot I guess 8 bolt guns, so 16 shots. Hitting on 2s, wounding at worst on 5s, but likely on 4s with full wound rerolls. AP to ignore cover. Plus 3 shots, devastating wounds, hitting on 2s, wounding on probably 5s, rerolling, devastating, obviously. A pistol, which is probably wounding on 6s, rerolling. Which is actually... Oh, no, you don't get the pistol because we don't have a pistol psychic weapon. You're going to shoot the psychic weapon every time. So the Warp Flame pistol is actually not that exciting anymore. But you're still going to take it because it's better than a bolt pistol. All right. So the damage output is good. It's not like blowing me away. No pun intended. Kind of like the hyper wombo combos that we saw out of Death Guard were, and I don't know if there's any like characters we're super excited about here. Like getting +1 to hit and wound off of like the regular sorcerers like gunshot is pretty neat. Infernal Masters like getting wound rerolls is neat. The regular sorcerer hitting on 2s with like a trillion strength 8 gunshots is like cool. We don't have any hit reroll outlets unless we want to like do the weird Terminator sorcerer like hijinks, but we're probably not doing that, to be honest. Still want flamers, but the flamers don't get the bonus of the Rhino though. So like flamers, if you're playing transport marines, like aren't flamers just like dramatically less output. I guess like if you're not paying for the strat, I feel like you want one unit that you want to use the strat on to like maximize damage, and then the rest you're just like, I don't know, I'll disembark a character and it's fine. I'll just get the character bonus. Oh, you can use this the spell, yeah. So you can be reroll once to hit. So you're probably converting all your hit rolls, right? You're either getting lethal or sustain. And then even if you undercast your other thing, you can get your Twist of Fate. Your AP3 on all the little guns. So you're probably handing your opponent, if you're getting rerolls, so obviously your opponent has to play around, which is oftentimes not impossible to do entirely. You're probably handing your opponent 12 AP3 ignore cover saves from your bolters alone. Which is like probably 9-ish damage on most targets. If they're not T10 or higher. It's good. I'm not like, it's not blowing me away like I said before. I'm not like freaking out at the amount of damage it's capable of doing. It feels like pretty fine. The characters I think are actually definitely probably going to be the where things are exciting about that. Like I guess realistically being able to dump 2 5-mans out, and this is probably where the Warp Flamers are, right? Warp Flamers are shooting 3 times in a round. I mean, they can all shoot 3 times in a round. The one thing you're not getting is hit rerolls off of the other stuff. But if you have Flamers in your like characters or whatever, it's still fine on the Overwatch. But like the reactive shot is doesn't care what your ballistic skill is, right? Like you're just rolling normally on that at that point. How long does the oh, excuse me, champ. Oof. Still got a sore throat. So I apologize. I have gotten lost here. How long does the Rhino effect last? Till the end of the phase? Till the end of the phase, yeah. Lame. Doesn't work on your opponent's turn. But the other thing to keep in mind too is that like Flamers you can outmaneuver, and you can't necessarily do that to bolters because the bolters are always going to be in range. But I think to your point, dudes, the probably the most exciting thing is that you don't need like you maybe take 110-man with the intention of like fully unloading from it, but you don't necessarily need to do that with 5s. So you can still take Flamers on 5s, like 3 Flamers and a Soul Reaper, and then just like fire support off of a character or off of the Rhino and get 2 characters with +1 to hit and wound, right? Which is like already good, and probably wound rerolls. And that's like in most cases enough to kill something. Especially if they're debuffed by the psychic powers. Where do we place on the Codex? This feels like number 2 after Mutants. To me, this feels very straightforward. I think this would be the detachment so far after what I'm reading here. This would be the detachment that I would be like, if you're a new player and you're like just getting into Thousand Suns, like play this detachment. And I think I will say about this Codex, which I feel like is a good design trend, is that it doesn't feel like it's quite as brain melting as the Index. I do think that it's not going to be as powerful. It doesn't feel like it's as powerful as like Index at full power level. But the problem with the Index was that like in order to unlock it, you had to be just like you had to have perfect execution all the time. And if you fucked anything up, it was like it all fell apart and it sucked. And so like it was like super high skill. It was like a super high skill floor and a super high skill ceiling, right? This feels like it's sort of narrowed that down quite a bit. Like I think you can play this detachment mostly just like a regular fucking army, and you still play pretty well. And so like you're highly resilient. You have a bunch of like basic bitch dudes who are really good at shooting, a bunch of like good characters, and then you just like call it a day. and then you like play like transport 40k and like like relatively fair like 40k, and then that's what you do, and that's it. And then I think that's totally fine. Index was Magnus dies, you lose. Yeah, you're not wrong. This is 9th edition, Thousand Sons of Detachment. That's so true. They used to just like straight up just have Risen Rubricae. Like they had all this stuff. Yeah, definitely. All right. Should we move on to Warpforged Cabal chats? Magnus melee way better than expected. I don't know. Magnus feels feels like Fulgrim. Like, oh, that's an interesting data sheet. Why is he so expensive? Magnus feels like he would be good at 350, but 420 is like so much for him. Like, I don't know, man. The fact that he lost like his own, like his personal power damage output is like fucking halved, and he has less army support, and you want me to pay almost as many points as I was previously for him? Like, are you kidding me? I don't know. Especially because the rest of the Codex is buffed up, right? Part of the reason Magnus was so good in the Index was that the rest of the Codex was like like super mid by itself. And now I think like these basic Rubric Marine data sheets are sick. The Mutant data sheets are sick. You're like incentivized to play a lot more things. There's a lot more competition for Magnus' spot, and I don't know if he really does enough to justify his inclusion now. Maybe that's wrong. Casting 2 rituals at +1 is sick, especially because you can combine that with other bonuses. The problem is that eating mortal wounds on Magnus fucking drools. That sucks so hard. That dude's so hard to get damage on. If you mortal wound yourself, your opponent's like doing a little jig in the corner. He's like, yay! That's 20% of Magnus. I don't have to deal in damage to a 2+4 +-1 damage with like weird dice fixing. Like, okay. He's obviously easier to damage than he was in the Index. He doesn't have 0 damages and rerolls and a bunch of shit out the wazoo, but he's still a really strong defensive profile on the baseline. And if he like comes into the fight a million wounds down, you're like, all right. But I don't know, get like almost ensuring that you get empowered versions of your rituals off all the time is like pretty good. So it's probably do some play for sure. Needs a heal or a feel no pain, yeah. AP2 ignore cover bolters is neat, and Chaos Space Marine Renegade Raiders. Is it neat though? It's just a side grade from Noise Marines. Are you gonna take rubrics? Or are you gonna take Noisy Boys? That's the question. Rubrics get wound rerolls and are cheaper. Noisy Boys are strength 10, 3 damage. It is really good though. That is really good. Yeah, Noisy Boys special weapon shooting is phenomenal for sure. All right. Let's talk about Warpforged Cabal momentarily. So we're talking about vehicles. So let's talk about vehicles real quick while we're doing that. It's all vehicles all the time. So the picture has Sekhetar Robots. All the effects affect vehicles. Okay. Well, fair enough. We talked about the Rhino already. It's crying again. It's just such a whiny baby. It looks like Vindicators are normal. Their datasheet got cut off, but I imagine that nothing's changed on the Vindicator. We talked about Rhinos. Land Raiders are Land Raiders. The las cannons are the same. Their heavy bolters are an extra AP because they're Inferno. Neat. Hellbrutes. Let's talk about Hellbrutes. In your shooting or fight phase, after this model has shot or fought, selects an enemy and hit by one or more of those attacks, it must take a battle shock test. Okay. Well, we had to lose out on a Hellbrute datasheet one of these days. They can't all be straight fire, so I guess this is the one. Battle shock test. Cool, man. Sick. All right. Well, go fuck yourself, Hellbrute. Forged Friends look like they are the same as the previous Forged Friend. Their Hades autocannons are AP2. Are the other ones AP2? What's up, kitty? You're back. You are so agitated today. What is up? My roommate did, or my housemate did, the other ones are AP1, so it feels like this is a buff. They're Inferno Hades autocannons. Are you going to take those over Ectoplasma? Probably not. Is it nice? Sure. My roommate did a bunch of cleaning. I think she's agitated by the fact that like furniture moved and stuff and everything smells weird. Does the Chaos Codex take our, I assume you mean Rubric Marines, or do they have their own profiles? No, they take whatever is in the current, whatever the most recent data sheet of that name is. So they take they do not have Rubric Marines in their own codex. They check the Thousand Suns codex for it. And the same with Noise Marines. That's why Noise Marines went from being like kind of a meme in that faction that you would like kind of laugh at to being like in every single Renegade Raiders list, because the Noise Marine data sheet got entirely reworked into a totally new unit. And the same is going to be true here, obviously. So Forge Friends, totally fine. And these guys are really cheap too, right? I think they're 140 is what we're at. Yeah, 140 points. That's pretty neat. They give -1 to hit, which is a relevant effect. And it's not a suppression where the suppressors suppress you as long as they're on the battlefield. If you shoot them with a Forge Fiend and then they kill the Forge Fiend, they're still -1 to hit. And it affects every unit characteristic, unit keyword. So I used to play this guy and I would hit like knights with 1 ectoplasma cannon. And I would be like, -1 to hit that fucker. And then whole knight would be like, what? Why? And I'm like, I don't know. I set you on fire, my dude. And it's bugging you. So these guys are actually pretty neat for their points value. Mauler Friends get Heroic Intervention for 0. In addition, you can reroll charges if they charge something that your Psychers are engaging. That's kind of neat. They're also 130 points, so relatively inexpensive as well. Nothing else to really say about them. They're just kind of guys. Move 10, I guess is fine. The downside is that we can't Temporal Surge in charge. I kind of wish we could. Because it's only a D6 movement on its baseline, like, it's basically just advance and charge. Like, I don't know. I understand that they don't want the threat ranges to be super long, but it would make units like this much more independently playable versus, like, probably being overlooked in a faction that's mostly about shooting people. So I don't know. It's not that exciting, but at least he's cheap. Defiler. Defiler gets a 6+ feel no pain. Do the other ones do that? They don't, right? The Death Guard one for sure doesn't have a 6+ feel no pain, right? Or am I a crazy person and it's like actually the dumbest thing ever? No. No. Interesting. So this is the hardest kill of the, or I guess the Nurgle one's T11, right? So it's not necessarily, this one's not necessarily the hardest to kill, but it has the most, like, essentially wounds. It basically has 17 wounds, right? With a 6+ feel no pain. And it overwatches on 5s. If the enemy unit is within 9 inches of a Psyker, it overwatches on 4s. You're never going to use that, because if it's within 9 inches of a Psyker, you're probably overwatching with a Rubric Marine squad. So that might as well be a blank inclusion. Are these expensive? Utilists are 160. I'm just reading. I can't find it on the sheet, chat. I assume that, I imagine they're 165, right? They are. They are 165. Yeah, it's probably a nothing burger. Too bad. I guess, like, you can buff the AP of the battle cannon and give it hit rerolls. Like, that's pretty good. And it's good in melee, which is like something that the faction kind of lacks. It's like, maybe it's fine. I wish it had an ability, though. The abilities is such a make or break for these data sheets. Like, Infernal Dragon. Strips cover from people. Most of your stuff ignores cover anyway, so it's not the most exciting thing in the world. That's what it used to do. It's a really cool ability, but you're also paying like 1 trillion points for like a big piece of shit, so I wish they were cheaper. If these guys were significantly cheaper, I think it'd be playable. The weird part is that, like, I understand why Games Workshop wants to debuff aircraft because they're worried about like just the really degenerate aircraft plays where you're just like shooting people from across the table. But this dude basically doesn't have a ranged output, right? He's shooting you like a flamethrower. That's a good flamethrower, but it's not going to shoot you across the map, ignoring all the ruins. First of all, Games Workshop wrote that rule. Just change that rule if you don't like it. But also, like you're almost never going to aircraft this guy because then you can't use his devastating melee attacks. So you're always going to hover with it. So he's just a big hovercraft. So just balance him like a hovercraft. And if he was like, I don't know, 100 and some odd points and like had a cool utility effect and also punched and shot good, he'd probably be playable. But he's just this big moron for like 200 points. Ugh. Wump. All right. And then predators, I imagine, are just predators. Let's go and look at them. Quick. Rhinos, predators. Predator Destructor. Ooh, Predator Destructor is actually kind of neat. Looks like we have a new effect for him. Ensorcelled Destruction. Each time it makes a ranged attack that targets a unit, excluding monsters or vehicles, that was hit by one or more psychic attacks made by psyker models from your army. That's annoying. So if you ensorcel infusion your bolters and then shoot the thing with that bolter, it doesn't count because it was a non-psyker making a psychic attack. Annoying, but that's okay. Made by a 1,000 psyker model from your army this phase, including Doom Bolts. Neat. Improve the strength and armor penetration characteristics by 1. If this affected monsters and vehicles, this ability would be really good. But because it's infantry only, I feel like if I'm shooting them with a 1,000 stun psyker unit and they're infantry, I want them to be dead. I don't want them to be debuffed slightly. It does put the Predator autocannon at 10-2-3, so it becomes like the perfect marine killing profile. Or a Terminator, excuse me. It's like a heavy infantry sweeper at that point. But I don't like it has to jump through a hoop for it. Meh. Annihilator. Each time it targets a monster or vehicle that was hit by a psychic attack, you can reroll the hit roll and damage. And these are 130 points. So that feels more reasonable because I'm probably going to shoot a monster or vehicle and it's probably not going to immediately be dead. But my hope would be that if I'm like wombo comboing out to burn innate a Terminator unit, either they'd be dead or I would have more things to shoot at them than just a Predator Destructor. 130 for the Annihilator. And you can get hit and damage rerolls. And their twin autocannon wound rerolls as well. These guys might be good. Because I think that you're certainly gonna have more outlets for, so like you can put hit rerolls and like AP bonuses and something on something and then blow it up with your little guys, right? And then as long as you have one Warp Smite or Malefic Curse or whatever it's called now, like remaining, you can just flip that into something else, and now you're getting Predator Annihilators that can wombo it out with full hit, semi-full wound on their Top Gun and full damage rerolls. Which is actually makes them super consistent, right? They're shooting 2 side sponsons that are rerolling hits and damage, and then the Top Gun that's rerolling hit, wound, and damage. So I'm kind of into that guy. Yeah, the Sure Terminator is like kind of, he's whatever. His ability got changed to being like a hit bonus, so now he has to shoot in order to trigger his rerolls. So he's still there. He's just like kind of like awkward as an inclusion. He's cheaper though, so like maybe he's okay. I don't know. I'm just a little bit I'm sad about him. 5-3-2 heavy bolters is neat. It'd be 6-3-2, right? AP or strength 6, AP 3, 2 damage, which is like pretty good. Yeah, I'm not opposed to the Predator Annihilator here. I think that guy might be okay. Let's see how Warpfire Infusion does, though, or Warpforged Cabal, I should say. So 1,000 Suns vehicles that are selected to shoot or fight apply one of the following when resolving those. Oh my god, okay. Oh, we are cooking with gas, chat. If the vehicle is within 6 inches of a Psyker model, reroll hit, wound, and damage. 1 hit, 1 wound, 1 damage. Otherwise, reroll 1 hit, wound, or damage. Fuck. This is Ironstorm with upside? Downside being that if you are within 6 inches of a Psyker model when you're destroyed, you deadly demise on a 5 instead of a 6. So you can blow up your own Psykers if you're empowering them. But you don't have to. You can just get normal Ironstorm rerolls. Oh my god. That is very different. So the rumors had this part, or this part, and this part, but they missed this part. Where the baseline is that it's just one of the best detachments in Space Marines. The upside is that it's like fucking Noble Lance. Like, what? This is fucking sick, dude. Whoa, that is a hell of a detachment ability, chat. Also, this is not always a downside. Sometimes that's good, right? You're like pushing rubrics and shit forward, and then and then like a Forge Fiend or a Mauler Fiend like slams into your opponent, they kill it, and then you explode on a 5. Like, that's something, right? You might hit your own guy for a couple damage, but you're also going to blow up on your opponent.
Ryan G donated $2 through Super Chat. Are the Hellbrutes worth it with rerolls?
They're 100. They're like 110 points, maybe. Hellbrute is. Are they 100 points? Yeah, 110. I think so. I think that's what the points thing had it. Yeah, they're 110 points. So 110 points, you get a decent melee, and you get like a las cannon that basically full rerolls all the time, or like a plasma cannon that full rerolls all the time, or a multi-melta that full rerolls all the time. Actually, they might be fine. I just made fun of them, but in the context of the fact that this dude just like rerolls everything constantly, it's shoot or fight, right? Shoot or fight. Fuck me, dude. Wow. Okay, we are fucking in, dude. Is Thousand Suns hull spam just like the truth and the way? Fuck. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I mean, that might be good, chat. So, like, you can put a multi-melta on him, and then he gets a hit, wound, and damage reroll, and then he charges with a hammer and gets a hit, wound, and damage reroll, potentially. Or he just take fist, I don't know. For 110, problem is maneuverability. Only move 8. Do we have a move through wall strat? We'll find out. All right. Let's talk about enhancements. This is already kind of like coming up Millhouse right now. Are the new robots vehicles? Let's take a peek. If not, we'll talk about them in a moment. I'll go through all the data sheets that we didn't talk about at the end. They are. Oh, they are vehicles. Oh, we should talk about them then. Yeah, let's talk about Sekhetar Robots. Ew, they're walkers? What? Ew. That is good for them. That means they get rerolls. It does also mean that they can't go through walls, which is not very good. I thought they would be infantry because looking at this artwork, they're basically the same size as that guy. Why are they walker? They're on a 40 mil, right? They're like actually little babies. Like, it's so weird that their walker's not infantry. What the fuck? I guess like the closest equivalent is like a Tau battle suit. They're basically a Tau, like a crisis suit. They have like almost the same profile too. But like, why does a Centurion get to be an infantry model? It's like, answer me, riddle me this, chat. Space Marine privilege. How come a Centurion's infantry, but this guy's a walker? Weird. That's super bizarre, but it does mean that they get the cool bonus, so that's neat. They have a heavy warp flamer. It is a 2-barreled gun, but not twin-linked, so it's just D6 shots, strength 5, AP 2, 1 damage. A Hellfire missile rack, 2 shots, strength 10, AP 2, 3 damage. And then they can get a baby, a little tiny baby flamer and a power claw or a meltagun. The meltagun's neat, especially with the reroll, but a baby flamer and a meltagun for a unit that you're probably just going to be throwing overwatches on feels like the way you'd probably go. Because then you also get a pretty solid melee profile. Strength 10, AP 2, 2 damage. Feels pretty okay. With the floating reroll as well. They infiltrate stealth, and they're 40 points a model, we said. They are 45 points per model. Yeah, they're like crisis suits. They might be the smallest walkers, though. They are like actually tiny. Why would they not be walkers if they're vehicles? Well, they should be walkers if they're vehicles for sure. Otherwise, this heroic intervention thing would be weird. The weird thing is that they're not infantry because they are smaller than like most infantry in 40k at this point. Like the average size of infantry keywords is steadily increasing. It's just like, I don't know, it just doesn't really make sense. Like the classification between the two, the distinction between the two is becoming muddier and muddier as the game progresses. And it is unfortunate that it makes such a big difference, right? Like infantry keyword, these guys are like an immediate windmill slam auto include, right? You're like, hey, I get infiltrators that free Overwatch and have 1 million flamers. That seems great. Vehicle keyword, and you're like, if I put them behind a terrain feature, I might not be able to get to an objective. Ugh. I don't know if I want them now. So that is downside. Plus, they get affected by anti-vehicle technology, which is a little bit annoying. I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, I guess pretty significantly mid on these guys. Also OC1 couldn't have sprung for OC2. It's probably better than I'm giving them credit for. An infiltrator with free Overwatch and 1 million flamers is like probably good. I did not know that they had a flamer inside their fist. That's actually really cool. So they're shooting D6 plus D3 flamer shots each. Just the free makes the free Overwatch pretty effective. Should we try to make a terrain format that doesn't stop movement? No. The problem with like making your own terrain format is that it like splits the community quite a bit because a lot of like list compositions and player experience is shaped quite a bit by terrain formats. So when you like go like, hey, we're gonna make our own terrain format with, you know, blackjack and hookers, and all my people play that, then suddenly you've alienated literally everyone else in the world, right? So like everyone going to WTC is not going to play that format. Everyone planning to play on World Championships is not going to play the terrain format because they need to practice the format that's being used for their events. And so like suddenly the community just compartmentalizes and you get people who won't play with each other and you get a much smaller community. It's just not worth it. The hope is that Games Workshop like figures out how terrain works. I mean, we talked about it a million times. They've had it in 9th edition. 9th edition had some great fucking terrain rolls. They had a keyword system where you could just apply keywords to terrain features. They did a dumb thing where some of the keywords were keyed to terrain feature height, which was stupid and like really like it was kind of disrespectful to like the player intelligence. They're like, we don't think that you're smart enough to be able to assign this keyword to a terrain feature that makes sense. So we're going to attach a cap to it essentially, which was very dumb. But I think that if they could go back to a situation like that where you're able to build terrain features that are not necessarily movement blocking, but that can affect line of sight and provide cover and provide things like dense terrain, like the dense cover bonus to things intervening, so that you can make the terrain more playable for units that can't necessarily move through walls. And maybe at that point, you don't even necessarily need to work with breachable stuff. But they got rid of all that in 10th edition. Hopefully it comes back in next edition and we can play with terrain that's a little bit more sane And then units that are like relatively low movement, but not necessarily infantry keyworded, can be played without being just hamstrung by the core mechanics of the game. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. To answer the question, though, I'm generally for the amalgamation of the community rather than splitting the community into house rules and stuff. I would rather see everyone play one format, even if that format isn't quite as good as a format that's crowdsourced. Inky, please stop. This cat, chat, she's such a little rapscallion. Oh no. Oh no. We got the 9th edition nostalgia. We need to roast Tyrannus. Yeah, I should have like a pop up. I need to fix my stream deck and get a pop up that just like occurs whenever we do 9th edition stuff. Whenever we nostalgia bait for 9th edition. Can you not sit in front of my computer screen, cat? I can't see the chat when you do that. Come here. You're so cute and so fuzzy, but also so annoying sometimes. All right. Sekhetar Robots. They seem fine. This keyword has drained a lot of my enthusiasm for them, but it's probably okay. All right. Let's talk about enhancements. Warpforged Cabal. Enhancements. Warp Siphon. While the bearer is within 6 inches of one or more 1,000 Suns vehicles, each time the bearer channels the warp, after you roll that additional d6, but before checking for doubles or triples, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, one of those vehicle units choose a vehicle unit within 6 inches. One of those vehicle units suffers 1 mortal wound, and you can re-roll the d6. Oh, that's cute. So you can try to re-roll out of doubles or triples, or you can also try to re-roll to get higher numbers, which is neat. So you're like, I'll channel, roll a 1. I'll just ping a vehicle for 1 point, who cares, and then reroll to try to get a higher number. That's generally a very good enhancement. Perplexing Cloak. Makes you a tech marine, kind of. You get lone operative while you're within 3 inches of a vehicle. Solid. Infantry only, so you can't put it on a Demon Prince. Fair enough. Biomechanical Mutation. It's basically like Solar Flare or Solar Pulse, because you can't fucking read what it does because the sun is in the way. 1,000 Suns model only. In your command phase, probably. You can select one friendly 1,000 Suns vehicle, probably. Model within 6 inches of this model. That model probably regains up to D3 lost wounds, I imagine is what that says. Solid. That's a good enhancement. It's awkward that I feel like a lot of these enhancements want to be on the same model. I want my guy who damages my vehicles to get lone operative near vehicles and also heal them, but I can't do that, so get wrecked, I guess. It has to be different people. Warp Cursed Rude Master. While a vehicle is within 6 inches of one or more friendly 1,000 Suns vehicles units, each time the bearer manifests a ritual, while resolving that ritual, add 6 inches to its range. Neat. Seems good. I like the idea too, and this is like generally a good piece of design within this codex, that the majority of the codex is not parasitic within, like, with its, its other options. So unlike the index where you basically took psychers or nothing because the psychers were the only thing affected by your buffs, now the you can actually buff vehicles and the with the rituals without having to spam a million psychers. You still need a baseline of psychers, probably 5-ish, to get like your buffs off with it. You need to, but there's also an internal synergy between the psychers and the vehicles as well. I wish that there was a thing to, I think what would be cool, and I think they were trying to do this with Warp Siphon, but it would be cool if there was a way to, like, when a bearer suffers mortal wounds, to, like, pass them to a vehicle. So that if you blow up, like, your empowered ritual or whatever, you can put it on a vehicle instead, or when the vehicles explode, you can chain it to different vehicles. So you don't necessarily dump mortal wounds into a psyker in particular. You're kind of incentivized to take psychers inside units here, despite the fact that there's this lone operative thing, because the number of mortal wounds that you could be suffering is kind of high. Is the cloak the spot for a Terminator Sorcerer? Maybe. The Terminator Sorc is range 24, right? But also, it's like, it's going to be 100 points for reroll ones sometimes, right? It's range 18. Because you have to hit someone with a psychic weapon. So, like, maybe. But it's just, like, it's so hard to activate that. Like, maybe it's fine. But 100 points for that? To, like, jump through a million hoops for a +1 to hit? Like, it's good. The final effect is good, but... Yeah, it has to be his psychic gun, which is the dumb thing. If you could shoot his bolter and get it, sure. But it's like 3 shots. You could just miss them because he's ballistic skill 3. Like, there's a non-zero chance you miss. He doesn't get rerolls because he's not a vehicle. Unlike Iron Storm, it's not everything in the army. It's just vehicles, which is going to be 90% of your army. But that is a slight difference from Iron Storm. I don't know. Like, you could deep strike him in so that you ensure you're in range, but then you have to, like, to get the benefit of the thing, you have to deep strike him next to a vehicle and in 18 inches of your opponent. And then for that to matter, they have to not be able to just walk in and kill him. And he can't do it and then temporal surge away because he has to be there during the shooting activation part of the phase. Like, I don't know. It feels like it might be fine, but it just seems like a lot of hoops. Just oath the target. Yeah, but like you could stack them +1 to hit and reroll ones is like full rerolls essentially. Or you can oath on something and also +1 to hit something else is also probably reasonable as well. So it's not like they're mutually exclusive, you know. I think you can have both at the same time. And not to mention the fact that he could just be the one casting the rerolls enhancement. He has a bunch of wounds, so he could eat. He could eat at least 1 empowerment if he wanted to, potentially. He's also empowering your vehicles for full rerolls as well, so like maybe it's fine. I don't know. Enhancements, Hex-marked armor. You get Armor of Contempt on vehicles. Good strat. Mutate Landscape. It's back. 1,000 Sunpsyker unit from your army within range of objective marker you control. It obsects the objective marker. While an objective marker is mutated under your control, each time an enemy ends at a normal, advance, fallback, or charge move within range of the objective marker, on a 4+, they suffer D3 damage. It does require the objective marker to be under your control, but the mutation effect, so it works like the Raven Guard or the now I'm doing it. Oof. It works like the Vanguard Spearhead stratagem. So in order for the effect to trigger, you have to control the objective, but because you don't check objective control until the end of a phase, if you control it at the start of your moon phase, every single unit that moves onto that objective is going to suffer D3 mortal wounds. Or going to roll to suffer D3 mortal wounds. So you can trigger it multiple times. And I suppose that when you recontrol it, the effect goes back on, right? I'm not 100% sure that that's the case, though. The first sentence is that while an objective marker is mutated and the first sentence is the objective marker is mutated and remains in your control until your opponent's level of control over that objective is greater than yours until at the end of a phase. So if your opponent's objective control is greater than yours at the end of the phase, is the objective marker no longer mutated? It kind of sounds like that's the implication. So it might turn off as soon as your opponent takes the objective. But you can trigger the mortal wound effect multiple times per turn. That's a little bit ambiguous. What does Deadly Prize do? The objective marker is sabotaged and remains under your control even if you have no models in range of it until your opponent controls it at the end of a turn, which has been eroded. While an objective marker is sabotaged and under your control. Yeah, I guess it's this. If it's worded the same, so I guess it works like the Deadly Prize one. That one triggers on a 2+, though, so it's much better. Yeah, anything that reduces incoming AP is only in effect for a single activation. That's Dataslate. Dataslate calls that. Raven Guard turns back on if you regain. It's clarified in FAQ. Okay, well then this would work the same way. There you go. Done. Good objective. Awkwardly, it's the vehicle detachment, but this only works on Psychers. So you do have to have Psychers in your army, but that's fair. Cyber Spirit Machinations. A vehicle unit from your army that falls back. You target the vehicle unit and one friendly Psyker unit within 6 inches. Until the end of the phase, your vehicle unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn at which it fell back. So basically, you can fall back, shoot and charge. Phenomenal effect. As long as when you use the stratagem... Oh no, as long as your vehicle ends its fallback move within 6 inches of a Psyker. And obviously, like, you have a lot of flexibility over this, because you can move the Psyker first, or like before or after you use the stratagem. So you fall back the vehicle, you move up a Psyker to where the vehicle is going to move, then you fall back the vehicle to within 6 inches, then you use the strat. Or you fall back the vehicle next to a Psyker, then you use the strat, then you move the Psyker away. So there is an extra rider on this, but it's not like it's impossible to get off. That feels fine. Malevolent Animus. Usable in your command phase. 1,000 Suns vehicle unit from your army within 6 inches of a Psyker. Awkwardly, they have to be within 6 inches in your command phase, which is sometimes hard. Until the start of your next command phase, the vehicle is malevolent. Okay. Well, imagine if it stopped there. While a unit is malevolent, it can ignore any modifiers. 2. The profile characteristics of its models. The weapon skill and ballistic skill characteristics of weapons equipped by its models. And any roll or test made for it. Good. Now, it is profile characteristic of its models. Did the commentary specify? The commentary has specified what weapon characteristics apply to that. Does that affect your AP and damage? It calls out weapon skill, ballistic skill characteristics, so I imagine that it doesn't. But you never know, because model characteristics is poorly defined. All right. Profile characteristics means, in specific, movement, toughness, save, wounds, leadership, objective control. Weapon characteristics are ranged attacks, weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, armor, penetration, damage. Okay, so profile characteristics are not weapon characteristics. That has been confirmed to be different, which is good. I mean, ignore weapon skill, ballistic skill characteristics, and ignore damage, like the damaged profile, and ignore attack modifiers is good. It's kind of a narrow use case, though, so I don't know. It's a fine strat. Can't smoke them. Let's go. Ensorcel Infusion. 1,000 Suns vehicle unit from your army within 6 inches of a 1,000 Sun Psyker. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapon equipped by vehicle models in your unit have the psychic ability, and each time an attack is made with a weapon, add 1 to the wound roll. This fucking detachment rules, chat. Jesus. You can get in order plus full hit rerolls, 2+2 AP from the army ability, reroll 1 wound, 1 damage, and +1 to wound from the detachment. Fuck me, dude. And if you take a hell drink, ignore cover. Boosh, we did it, boys. Let's go. Whoa, dude. Nothing is confirmed? No, it's confirmed by the rules commentary. Profiles contain these characteristics. Move, toughness, save, wounds, leadership, objective control. It says it right there. It's page 8 of the rules commentary. We're 100% sure that the armor rolls to roll 2d6, then choose to roll the d6 after learning the result. Yes. Yes. That's what the Codex is written like, and apparently that is how the Warhammer community article has described the ability. AP5, ignore heavy cover bolters. Yeah, with +1 to wound. Let's go. What is the biggest boom that we can put this on? Is it a defiler? It might be a defiler. You can also put this on a forge friend, which is pretty good. Oh, also, this is almost certain to get eroded, right? Chat, this doesn't have a timing on it. This isn't when you're select. This is almost certain to get eroded. This doesn't say when you're selected to shoot. This says in your shooting phase. So you can go, I'll shoot this forge fiend at you. I rolled a 4 for shots. I'll resolve. Next forge fiend, I'll shoot that at you. I rolled an 8 for shots. I'll give it +1 to wound. Oh, I rolled 8 shots and I have hit rerolls. I've hit 7 of them. +1 to wound seems good here. I'll give them that. Unless there's a lock-in. Is there a lock-in? Actually, just kidding. That might not work. That used to be how it worked, but I think they changed it so that abilities lock in on targeting. So you might have to resolve targeting first. But I guess the difference would be that I think you would have to declare use simultaneously with the rest of your stuff. Fuck, this is confusing. This is almost certainly going to get eroded to selection to shoot, right? And then we don't have to worry about this. I think that there is a requirement that attack modifiers get locked in on the target of the attack, but that would mean that it's simultaneous with defensive mechanics, which means that I don't think it actually matters. Maybe it doesn't matter. Because the active player would have to declare their simultaneous effects first. And then they would just choose the order of resolution. I don't remember this off the top of my head because it's changed so many times. I might just move on, to be honest. I think I would. This would take me too long to figure out when the timing works here, and then it's also almost certainly not going to matter because this is definitely going to get eroded on like day one. This is definitely a typo. Don't you play the strat, then select the unit for the strat to apply to? Yeah. But the order in which you do that doesn't matter. Do the wound roll use the strat if you need the +1 to wound? So that wouldn't work, right? Because the wound roll has already been resolved at the time that you... Like, as soon as you roll, like, you know the result of the wound roll, you can't modify it anymore. You would have to use it before you make a wound roll. But, like... yeah, I think that this has to lock in on targeting, so I think it doesn't matter. I'm going to assume that it does on targeting an opposing unit, because I think that's when you determine your attack characteristics. But I don't remember if that's entirely the case. And I would have to look through the entire commentary to find out exactly where that's written out, and I don't want to do that, so we're going to move on. Assume that this says when you've selected to shoot, because that's almost certainly what it's going to get eroded to. This is super irrelevant. Super duper irrelevant. Next strat, your opponent's charge phase. After your opponent ends a charge move, you target a vehicle unit from your army and engage the range of the enemy unit that charged. They you roll 66 on a 5+, they take a mortal wound. Then they take a battle shock test. The battle shock test is actually really cute there because it stops them from using like It stops them from using like fight phase buffs. But it's only an average of 2 mortal wounds, so it's very rarely going to come into play. It's just if they're like, oh, I really need a storm hostile objective here, and you can force a battle shock test on them, that might be neat. There's like a weird battle shock sub theme in this faction, and I wish they had like passive -1 to battle shock auras somewhere or something. Like if the Hellbrew did that, that would actually be kind of a sweet little wombo combo. Thousand Suns players do us a favor and don't try to abuse that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's not abusable, but I have to find the place where it's written that it's not abusable. Which is we had this whole discussion at one point. I think because the Lord of Change has the same wording. Oh, actually, I didn't read the Lord of Change's weapon ability. Does he still have the same like weird timing as the other one does? No, he still does. His effect is still in your shooting phase. It's not when he's selected to shoot, which is like super bizarre. Yeah, but I think almost certainly you have to do it before you roll any attack rolls with the attack. That's how the Lord of Change works. So his ability works like kind of like randomly, sort of whenever. But as soon as you make a hit roll with his weapon, you lose the ability to manipulate the special rules on that ability. And I think this is probably the same way. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna think about it. We can. I could make a funny video about it later if it ends up being like super borked. And then we get the stratagems again. That's nice. Oh, because this one has less glare on it. Thank you. And then there's data sheets. Woo! This vehicle detachment spicy as fuck, chat. There's definitely a. So you get 140 point Forge Friends, and you get 130 point Predator Annihilators. So, doing some math. So for 810 points, we can just take 6 T10 hulls. And they all get floating rerolls, potentially floating rerolls on each step of the process. And then we could even like rock that into 3 Predator Destructors too, which is 1230 points. And then you have like, you could take 9 hulls for 1200 points, and then you still have space for like a bunch of utility, a couple of characters, and like a Rubric squad or 2. Fuck me. That's dumb as hell. This detachment's extremely stupid. Oh, man. Okay, chat. Fuck. Move those boxes around. Ooh, boy. Yep, that's really good. That's really good. That is savage. Yeah, for sure. 5 is GW's trying to bait out Predator. Yeah. The Predator hull is like gone so much up in stock, that, but like between the Rhino being fucking nuts in all these codexes and these Predators being like super pushed. It's not even that the Predator data sheets are that good. It's just that the abilities around cheap vehicles is like insane. And you're still like, you can still just like play a Rubric squad, like 2 characters in a Rhino with like Rubric Marines, and then just like bail them out. And the Rhino's like kind of hard to kill. It's like you can AOC and smoke it, and do all the normal stuff. But you just have like +1 to wound on a stick. You have ignore modifiers on a stick, and then you just have like hyper efficient shooting with ritual buffs. What the fuck? I'm not sure if this or the Zangor detachment is better from a competitive standpoint, but they do feel very similar. And honestly, like, are they going to be as good as Death Guard vehicle spam? Almost certainly not. But you know, we all can't be heavy blight launcher blow drones. But Could you imagine, though? What if we had a heavy warp launcher? Chase that meta at your own risk. It's true. Those might get legended. Who knows? Rumors about next edition will get new vehicles. Yeah, but like, how late is Thousand Suns going to be released in 11th, right? You buy a bunch of Predators and you'll get 2 or 3 years of use out of them if you want to. Although you may get 3 months out of them and then they get nerfed again because like 130 points for this level of support is kind of wild. This detachment seems extremely good. Extremely good. Plus you get an obsec that damages your opponent. Like, fuck me, dude. So, tier list of detachments. I'm gonna put I think I'm gonna put mutants at number 1, but I don't think it's I think it's close. I don't think they're much higher number 1 than the vehicle detachment. The vehicle detachment feels more straightforward. Like, I'm going to put a bunch of vehicles on the table, we're going to spread around the table, and we're going to shoot the fuck out of you, and you're going to be dead. All right, fair enough. You know what? You got me, fam. On the other side, the mutant detachment is super janky, and is just going to like flood the board with idiots and bounce around and score points. So on one hand, you're murdering your opponent and hoping to win in the late game. On the other hand, you're jumping around and hoping to win on points in the early game. Not to mention, both of them obviously can deal pretty significant damage. Mutalist Vortex Beast is plus 1 to wound. It's like pretty legit. And ritual bonuses, obviously. So I think it goes mutants because their scoring is better. So they're probably better in the hands of a really, really talented player. I think it goes vehicles basically at the same level. And then from there, I think I would put the Rubricae Phalanx, almost certainly. Like a step down. It's not a huge step, but it is a step down, it feels like. And then I would put the Grand Coven, the new Cult of Magic detachment, where you get a bunch of bonuses for your psychic weapons. And then unfortunately, Changehost of Deceit feels like kind of a miss. If this one feels like they, I don't know. It feels like Games Workshop doesn't really know what to do with Tzeentch demons. They need to make them shoot really hard, and they're just really too afraid to give them good shooting. And that's what they needed. Like, they needed to have like demon psychic weapons get huge buffs, and they didn't really do that. And so you're just playing basically regular Thousand Suns, but like sometimes you have some funny extra utility guys. So that feels like kind of a big nothing burger. Now in terms of data sheets we haven't looked at, I think we've covered everything. We'll take a quick peek down the list. We talked about all the characters in the Grand Coven discussion. We talked about the Demon Princess. We talked about the Terminator Sorcerer. We talked about the Sekhetar Robots and in the vehicle discussion. We talked about all of the Rubricae units in the Rubricae Phalanx discussion. In the Warpforged thing, we talked about all of the vehicles. Oh, you get fucking Vindicators in this detachment, bro. I forgot they had Vindicators. Ah! They get hit, wound, and damage rerolls on Vindicators, dude. The data sheet got cut off, and I forgot that they existed. Oh my god. Plus, you can double move them for like extra 6 inches or whatever. Ugh. Vindicators with +1 to wound and full rerolls, my guy. We're playing Space Marines now, buddy. Also, hold up. Does the Thousand Suns Rhino just like has the little Angels of Death symbols on it? This is just like an Ultramarines Rhino, but they stapled the Thousand Sun symbol to the side. That's very funny looking. Hellbrutes like seem probably fine if within the context of getting a bunch of rerolls. We talked about the vehicles. We talked about all the mutants. And I believe that we have talked about all of the demons in the demon discussion. So I think that's a whole codex, chat. We did it. We've done it. We have gotten ourselves to the end. So sick of Vindicators. Why don't Death Guard get Vindicators? Oh, I wonder why, chat. How will you deal without your D6 plus 3 blast weapons? You have no access to weapons that shoot D6 plus 3 shots. Absolutely none of them. We literally just did a tier list of the detachments, chat. Like 30 seconds ago. Oh, man. No move through walls, so it's a bit table dependent. Yeah, to be honest, like, you can make your guys faster. It does make the melee ones a little bit tough to get to, like, leverage. But I think that, like, you can probably play, like, Hellbrutes and maybe Mauler Fiends as, like, a counterpunch. If your opponent comes into you, you can counterpunch with those guys, and you can still benefit from the rerolls in melee, too. So it's not like you're bad or anything. You're just mostly shooting, but you're playing Thousand Suns. Like, you should be here for being mostly shooting. So with that, chat, final thoughts on the Codex? It seems neat. I think a lot of the people are saying, hey, it's not blowing me away, but it seems like there's a lot of cool playables in it, and I think that's definitely the case. Magnus is stonks down. He feels a little expensive. I think if you cut his points value a little bit, he'd seem pretty reasonable, because he's a lot of army support and he does a bunch of damage, so like he's probably fine, but he's like very much not as good as he was previously. 420 points though for his profile is like, I don't know. But if you cut him down to 350 or something, I think he's just like, yeah, sure, I'll take him. Fucking whatever. He can cast my rituals. He can buff all my army, and then late game he can late game super hard. That seems fine. It feels more straightforward than World Eaters. Jury's out on whether or not I think it's better, because I think World Eaters has a lot of like sort of secret technology that people haven't unlocked yet. A little bit weird that World Eaters are probably more convoluted to play than Thousand Suns are. That doesn't really seem on theme, but it is what it is. Definitely not quite as like point and click adventure game as Death Guard. So in the context of the Cult Legion detachments, it definitely doesn't feel like it's at the top, but certainly in the middle. And I think the potential output from like the psychic units jumping out of Rhinos is like kind of huge. Obviously, the consistency of the vehicle detachment's enormous. It's got good scoring in the mutant detachment. So if you want to play it a bunch of different ways, it feels like it might be the most well-rounded selection, like roster of detachments, I think, than any of the Chaos Cult Codexes so far. Like Death Guard, it feels like all the detachments, you basically play the same army list and you're good to go. Emperor's Children only has one army list regardless of what you're playing. And World Eaters, who fucking knows? But this one feels like it's compartmentalized very significantly. So whichever unit type you want to play, you have support for it, and I think that's really interesting. It helps as well that it's probably next to Death Guard, it's the Chaos subfaction with the greatest like broadest model selection, which certainly I think helps them. Thousand Suns are Tau Marines. Yeah, that's a good comparison for sure. Book is insane, top tier. I one or two detachments maybe. On the whole, it doesn't. I don't know if it's like necessarily gonna be like immediately meta breaking right off the top, but maybe I'm wrong. Where would rank it in a tier list A tier? Yeah, that feels right. I would say certainly above average. Like definitely near the top. I don't know if I would put it like especially with the points values, because the points values are very reasonable, right? So the amount of stuff you can get into an army is quite a bit. I don't know if I would put it up like next to the very, very tippy top of the metagame, but it certainly feels like it's up there. Funny tech about the vehicle detachment. Lone operative infantry hero can give the demon princes lone operative, so they carry the other enhancements to make the lone op trio. Yeah, that's good. I mean, you can also kind of get it off the disc sorcerer if he's attached to a unit, right? You get an 18-inch lone op that can then make the demon prince a 12-inch lone op. What even is the top of the meta? It's kind of hard to tell right now, because like we just basically got 3 Codex drops in a row, right? And the other Chaos subfactions haven't even really been like played with. We'll see how they do this weekend, but we've had like 2 GTs with them right now, so like who fucking knows. So it would be wild to make a tier list right now. Like Death Guard's probably up there, almost certainly. I think demons are probably still up there unless Death Guard killed them. I don't know. And Ultramarines are still incredible. So like up there with them, like Thousand Suns is probably like in the 4th or 5th place is what it feels like to me. Don't even think Death Guard to be clear top. Yeah, we'll have to see. I think they're just really, really consistent and straightforward. Emperor's children, but all their heads are handsome Squidward. All right, chat. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to be live over on Twitch in about 15 or 20 minutes or so. I have a game scheduled over there playing Emperor's Children, speaking of new Codex jank. So I will see you over there. So go follow me on Twitch. Let me get... do I have my Twitch command set up? Have I ever done that? Let's try it. Let's find out. Let's find out together. Probably not. Do I even stream? Am I even a real streamer? Here is my Twitch chat. Boom. There it is. Go follow me over on Twitch. I'm going to be live playing a game momentarily. How many rhinos? 2 rhinos. Maybe 1 rhino. Thank you for the follow over on Twitch. Appreciate that. Dread Red. Good username. And Irish Relief. Well, thank you as well. So I'll see you over there. We can talk more about this codex in our downtime. Lord Nernbane, thank you for the follows. Hey, appreciate that, everybody. And with that, I will bid you adieu, and I'll see you in just a little bit. Cheers, guys.